What's up, everybody? Before we begin our podcast, I just want to say it real quick. Happy birthday, Miguel. It is Miguel Sanchez's birthday weekend, everybody. So please go to our social, wish this man a happy birthday. He is the best. We are so blessed to have him. And now, let's continue our episode. Welcome back to Punch Drunk Nerd, the podcast where three friends, three amigos, three bambinos come together to talk about nurture. And this week we are talking about House of the Dragon, the season finale of season 2. And this week we are swapping the last two hosts with two different hosts. We got the OG Miguel. He's back in it again. But to replace Ed, we got Steven Escobar, our Grand Maester for all things Game of Thrones, all things House of the Dragon, all things.
He's got
JJ.
that chain.
Grand Maester chain.
Oh, yeah.
Right, baby.
Zero links on it.
Yeah. We're excited to talk about House of the Dragon. I know there's a lot of feelings out on the internet about it, but you come to the right place. You come to the right people to talk about this, just to vibe out and to get drunk and have a good time. But listen, before we do all that in the feature discussion, we got to talk about some news. We do that every week in the podcast. House of the Dragon is going to end on season 4, guys. Let's talk about this real quick.
Big news.
You heard the news.
Were they originally saying it was going to be only 3 seasons? And now they go 4 seasons? So
And
how do we know it's not going to do it again?
Amen.
1000%. You're totally right.
Okay.
It totally happened again. They could be like, well, we could have another season.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You know, I know with Succession, they were like, we have one more season, and then it did end. But this is a little bit farther ahead. So right now we're looking at what they're starting pre-production next year. Is that correct?
Wow.
Wait, hold on.
Hey,
Actually,
rest of
Season 4? No, they're about to start season 3.
oh yeah, my bad. See, this is why Miguel's got me on top of all this.
There you go.
Season 3 will also be 8 episodes, like its second season.
Wasn't it supposed to be 10 episodes to this season? Wasn't it 10?
Yeah, I think there was like something with the strikes, so they had to just truncate all that into a smaller version. But I guess they're just repeating the same structure.
Wasn't
Did
the
they tell
strike?
us that? I thought that they told us it was 10. Like on IMDb, it wasn't 10, and then it went down to 8. Or am I just misremembering this? This is some Mandela.
I thought it was always 10 too. And then
I
I
10.
looked up and it was 8, but I think because the strike had to do some funny business. I'm not entirely sure.
Okay.
Miguel, you have some thoughts. You
Just not really sure how the strike came into play. They started filming this thing like 2 years ago. Wasn't the strike like?
They started filming it during the strike, didn't they?
Did they? I thought the strike was it. How long ago was the strike? Oh my god!
Was,
like the days, they're all blending.
It's
baby.
last year. Last year it happened, and then
okay.
everybody was like, "House of the Dragon started up production." They're like, "Wait a second, they can't do that. There's a strike."
Oh,
and then
that's
they're like,
right. But then it was like, no, they're in the
They're in
UK
England.
or whatever.
Yeah, they have different rules than everybody else. Yeah.
They were like, no.
You know, for a podcast that's supposed to deliver news, we don't have really any news of how to explain.
First off,
this.
no listener that's coming back to our podcast has ever thought, oh god, they're so on it with like the news. You know,
We're not on it. You could go to Google.com.
Google
and
it
find
yourself.
out. Pretty much what's going to happen is there's going to be season 3. It's probably going to take 2 years. It's probably going to start this year, next year. Let us know at Punch Drunk Nerd. Give us some, likes, subscribes, like that. Steven and Miguel, what are your thoughts on this kind of like 2 more seasons left business?
Wow. Miguel, go ahead.
You're the
You got
guest,
this.
Steven. You're the guest. Go ahead.
2 more seasons left. Steve is fine. When I had gotten into my head that we were going to do 3, so I was ready for real quick, fast, flying.
In and out.
Yeah, in and out. And then I guess it just feels like they changed somewhere along the way because like they're going page by page in season 2, the first half of season 2 was flying, and then all of a sudden it just like slowed down. Are they going to give us a season of like real slow?
They said they were going to go to war now. The mayor's like they said in this upcoming.
That
they're
should
like,
have been this. To me, that's season 2. That's what season 2 is supposed to be.
They
So
were like,
what do you
we're
mean
going
now?
all out war this time. Is how they were kind of talking it at the end of that episode. I finally have the notes here. It says it's going into production early 2025 and should expect season 3 before 2026. But in the meantime, in 2025, which is next year, we're going to get the prequel series to Game of Thrones, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, aka Donkey and
Egg.
Yeah.
Oh, this is great.
I'm
so excited about this one.
Steven, talk about Dunk and Egg. What is Dunk and Egg?
If you are like, if you're like you don't want to read a book, you're like, screw books. I hate them. They killed my father or whatever. Right?
Yeah.
If you hate books but you want to read something from like the Game of Thrones universe, the Song of Ice and Fire universe, read it. Go pick up A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. It's easy to read. It's 3 short stories, like,
okay,
and they go real fast. And it's about Dunk and he's a knight of the Seven Kingdoms. Maybe there's a lot of mystery in this. he's a knight of the Seven Kingdoms, and he's got a little apprentice, Egg. Okay, and there's a lot of mystery about Egg, and there's a lot of mystery about Duncan. But these two, it's the adventures of them through Westeros. They're righting wrongs and saving madam maidens in distress, and conquering villains and stopping usurpers. And so when they say we're going to do a show, George wrote 3 stories. But anyone can do this. It's like a sitcom thing. It resets every time. So they go have an adventure, and then they end up back where they started. And then
adventure
they
of the week kind of situation.
Yeah, and they could do 100 of these episodes as long as, and you could give it to 100 different writers, right? It's like Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
You could. So I'm really excited because they're really funny. They're like they're kind of a comedic duo as they journey through the Westeros. And Dunk is very big, and he's called Duncan the Tall. Sorry, his name is Sir Duncan, and he's called Sir Duncan the Tall. And he's so Dunk and Egg, and I'm not going to spoil you on the Egg stuff.
He's tiny.
And he's a little tiny. He's bald, so he looks like a little egg.
Oh, okay,
and,
that's fun.
So he's this tiny little squire, and he'll be like, "Here's my sword, Egg," and Egg just go, and he'll run along with him with the sword, and they'll argue about it. We have to go back, Dunk. She's in trouble. That's not our problem, Egg. What? This isn't how I'll throw down the sword. I'm not leaving till we help her. All right, Egg, you're so annoying. We'll help her. It's very like cutesy, and you can do whatever you want with it. You can have a exciting episode. You can have a romance episode. You can have whatever you want. You can play whatever you want with Dunk and Egg.
This might be the thing that gets the gate. The gate. What's it called? The
what are you about to say?
The drug.
The gatekeepers.
The drug. The drug that gets me into Game of Thrones. You know what they call like weed, the gateway drug? The gateway. This would be the gateway book into Game of Thrones for me. Okay.
There you go.
After
the book's a lot of fun.
The book's fun because after finishing House of the Dragon season 2, I was like, maybe I'm just going to jump into Fire and Blood. But then I saw the internet yelling at me saying, "Don't do that. Just read Game of Thrones first, and then go to Fire and Blood."
Yeah.
Right?
I read the first book.
For sure.
I mean,
Fire and Blood is too much. I mean, I just mean like, they're giving you background on Game of Thrones, so you should read Game of Thrones first, and then you'll understand.
But it's so much to read. Okay, so
it is.
I'll just read Dunky and Eggy first, and then I'll get it. and then if I get excited, I'll keep going.
I read the first Game of Thrones book because I had seen the show so many times, and I just felt like it was a breeze. It was super helpful because I watched the show and I understood the characters more. Like obviously, it's not like. I mean, it is pretty faithful to the season, though. But I mean, it's like it was easy to follow, and it was like, oh, okay, I understand the story a lot more now because I can picture who they're talking about.
Okay.
I just like randomly picked up my Storm of Swords book like yesterday. I just opened to a random page, and it was Jon and Ygritte in season 3 talking about like she sees a tower, and she's like, "What's that? A castle?" And he's like, "No, that's just a tower. They built it." And she's like, "Wow!" And I was just like, "Yeah, you can see the whole thing in your head. You don't, it's not hard now that we've seen it. Now that we've seen it, it's a breeze."
It's so tough to like read these books knowing that there isn't like an official ending yet. It's like the reason why I haven't started Lost, because I know that they like fumbled the ending, but everyone I talked to, they're like,
"Are you an idiot?"
Yeah, Miguel. Even if people like Comic-Con, they were like, "It doesn't matter. Just watch the season of Lost. It's a master class of TV." And to me, I'm just like, well, they're going to set up all these things, and in the end, I'm going to feel like I have all these like blue balls of like.
You're looking too far in the future. The first season of Lost is maybe one of the most perfect seasons of television ever. Lost. This is a separate tangent. I'm going to be really quick about it.
Talking about Lost,
but it's just like Lost. It was of an era where it was like 22 episodes a season, and it was also an hour-long drama. So you get these episodes. Heroes.
Did you see Heroes?
Yes.
Same way.
You get this like long, overarching story that they also have to give filler episodes in, so it feels long and a little like bloated sometimes. But then they get you with these payoff moments, especially. I mean, I rode that shit out all the way, but I think you could honestly watch the first 3 seasons and every moment will hit.
Yeah.
Season 1 especially, though, is going to sell that show for you. Like, you should totally watch Lost. And that's all I'm going to say.
So I'll get on Dunk and Egg. I'll get on Lost.
All right.
These will be my gateway.
But just for everyone, I was going to shame all of you. My grandma, I just spent a month with my grandma. My grandma is reading Duncan, A Night in the Seven Kingdoms. Like I gave it to her. I was going to grab it. And I thought, where is it? Oh, right. Grandma's freaking reading. I left it in New Mexico. Like it's just reading my Duncan Egg. She loves it. If she loves it, you'll love it. It's easy. So
because there are 3 novelitas, right? There are 3 little stories, but they're compiled into a book called A Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So and I just do that as like, George going, here, I wrote your first 3 episodes. Go write me 4, 5, 6, 7. They don't have to connect. They don't ever have to go anywhere. You know what I mean?
You're painting it like this like comedic like sitcom.
It kind of was, man.
But I don't remember getting that vibe from that sneak preview of the show that they showed.
Yeah, they're probably trying to convince you.
They're like, no, it's Game of Thrones. It's serious.
Well, I don't want you to think it's only comedy. I guess I shouldn't. I don't want you to paint it like it's like a Naked Gun slapstick stuff. It isn't like only comedy.
It's just like The Bear.
I'm not
Bear's a comedy, right?
Yeah, The Bear's hilarious, right? Yeah. But it's like, you know how John and Ygritte or Arya and the Hound, they were like, it's funny. They're having these funny little relationships, adventures. As they wander.
Okay,
it's like
got
that.
it.
It's like a whole. It should be a whole show of that because they don't ever have to go anywhere. I mean, there's something they have to do. Like there's a history of it because obviously it's a prequel, so we know where it ends, but they don't really have to ever get there.
All right.
Can I ask the big question if we're going to talk about prequels real quick? Luis, I'm not trying to derail you. You're
I love it. No, this is derailing all the time.
They have talked about so many Game of Thrones spinoffs. They've come, they've gone.
Yeah.
And I think like House of Dragons, to me, kind of reignited like, oh shit, we will make spinoffs of this show. You know what I mean? It's House of Dragon has become so popular that it's like, yes, we can keep making these Game of Thrones spinoffs. I don't know how I personally
going anyway.
No, we have the fans on lock.
Nowhere.
Yes. I don't know how I feel. I was like very hesitant for this show and I happened to like it. But now I'm just like, I don't know. Like the opposite is like Marvel with all those MCU shows, Disney with the Star Wars shows. I'm like, when is too much too much? You know what I mean?
Well, I feel like sorry, Luis.
No, please go, Steven, go.
Well, I just was going to say, to me is just fundamentally different because we're taking an author's work as opposed to going, what do you got for me, interns? Like, there's no one we're asking anyone anything. We're just taking what he wrote and you want to put it on screen. Yes. How much until we're out of his stuff? We could probably do 15 shows. And then after 16 show, I'm with you. After the 16th show, I'll be nervous.
Then you're like, I don't know.
Just writing. Perfect. I mean, he's perfect. So.
Okay, yeah, I think it does feel a little bit different because there was a more intense cadence with Star Wars and Marvel, where it's like, you're done with this one, here's another one, and they were just like punching you over and over and over again.
And we're like waiting 2 years per season.
Yeah. You know, and so yes, we're getting another Game of Thrones-esque show next year. But there is some more breathing room compared to Disney Plus, where it was like every month we have Marvel or Star Wars show.
To that point, sorry, to tag on what you're saying, Luis, it's like they have now reignited, like I said, the spinoff train. And it's like, okay, now we have 4 animated shows and we have 3 live action spinoffs. And you're saying, oh, there's going to be another one next year, but that's the start of it, right? It's like House of Dragon this year. No, we got to wait 2 years for the next one. But hey, in between, guess what? Yeah. Here's a live action show and an animated show, and then you get hooked. And then now we got to have season 2 and 3.
There's an animated show happening.
Is that true?
There's like 3 different animated ones lined up right now. I don't have the list in front of me. It's like 8 different spinoffs.
That's a lot.
It's like a crack dealer announcing a sale. I'm all in.
He's like, I got 3 animated shows. I got 2 comic books.
Cool. Right, go. Yeah.
They had the Jon Snow one, but that got canceled. That got nixed.
That's a weird one. See, that's without George. That's why I'm like, I don't like that because that would be someone else coming up with something, and I just don't trust anyone else. I just don't. Have y'all heard about an Aegon the Conqueror show? Is that a thing?
There is a Conqueror. There is a Conqueror one. It must be Aegon. Yeah.
That'd be.
Whatever the chapters of the story that you're thinking. What's that?
Go ahead. That one bores me actually. The idea of Aegon because he just goes win over.
But again, there's all this content that we can pull from, so we have to make a TV show of it.
You're right.
That's what I'm worried about. You know what I mean? Like you're sitting here saying, I'm so excited, but then that one was kind of boring. But that's the one they're going to shove down your fucking throat because it's the one that's going to make money, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, people seem excited for that passionate. One. No, you're right. I'm trying to think about it. I like it because I'm trying to think about it from different perspectives. Because like the Aegon the Conqueror show, I've heard everyone goes like Luis just did. Everyone's like, yay. And I'm like, that's so fascinating because to me, that's just, it's like the Bible. It's like they're going to do Exodus as a movie. You're like, oh, come on. Like, we get it.
Exodus?
It's straightforward. Like, we all know it. Yeah. It's straightforward. He comes in, he wins. Dragons kill humans. The end. What are we going to watch? Dragons kill humans 150 times? Like, to me, the Dance Dragon shows
the dragons are the Jedis now. You know what I mean? Where people want to the dragons, the Jedis.
That's a good point.
They're all different colors.
Well, I got news for you, though. Dunk and Egg, no dragons. It's post.
I'm okay with that.
Me too. So that's why
it's the Mandalorian scoundrels. You know what I mean?
I like that.
Yeah. I don't want to talk the show too much, but I just love how it dawned on me this season. I was like, wow, we're seeing so many dragons. And there was like a whole run of Game of Thrones for years.
People are like, where are the fucking dragons?
Where are the dragons? And it's like, dude, now there's like 20 of them. You know,
their dragons are like, wait a second, there's a new dragon? Like they were bringing up new dragons left and right. They're like Silverwing. I'm like, whoa.
Where the fuck did that guy come from?
Now there's another one? And then I'm like, there's a wild one. And I'm like, what the fuck? What?
I know.
Yeah, be careful. That's why I was like, be careful what you wish for. But that's how I felt with people in season 1. A lot of y'all, not like, it's not an insult, but it's just like a lot of people were like, oh, it's too slow. And I was just like, be careful what you wish for, because when the flames come, it doesn't end. And yet I feel like the showrunners made me look bad because season 2 happened. People were complaining it's too slow. I was like, darn it. I was telling people, that this is when the blood is going to be in. And they're like, no, season 3. Are you going to do it again? Is season 3 going to end? You're going to go, no, season 4.
Yes, because season 4 is the last one, right? No.
I feel like we can get to it right now. I
agree.
At the end of this season, okay, the next thing that happens in the plot, I'm not going to tell you, but I just mean there's 2 things that happen. There's like a thing that happens that's definitive, and then another thing that happens that's like definitive. They could have done either one of those as the season finale. There's just no reason to have delayed that unless maybe they didn't film it or they couldn't afford it, or I don't know, production stuff. So there could be a reason, but it just seems like, I don't know, when it ended, Sean Evans texted me like a freaking essay about what he was mad about. Like he went like, they didn't do this, they didn't do this. Yeah, it was like bullet pointed. We should have had
Sean on this podcast.
You know what? That's not a bad idea. Call him up.
In 2 years, we'll call you up, Sean. We'll get you.
But he was right. Like usually as like the book reader, I'm criticizing the way show watchers like respond. But no, I feel like that's perfectly legitimate criticism, because I too was expecting, not demanding, but like expecting this to be a crazy bloodbath, to the point where I was like getting people prepared for like the finale. I'm like, this next event is going to occur. And they're like, nah, here's Shakaro Lothar wrestling with.
We'll dive into that more. We'll dive. We'll dive into that. So if you watch, season 3 coming out, 2 more years, starting production next year. If you watch season The House of the Dragon, the last finale, whatever, not only were you introduced to continually them promoting you to download their fucking game every time.
Man,
it's just like from the beginning and in the end, they're like, for the love of God, please play our game. They're like, okay, I get it. You're desperate. You want us to play this.
It felt desperate. It felt low class. It felt like I immediately was like, oh, the queen and both queens would be like, hey, get away from me.
Yeah,
he's when Alicent got hit with that fish, that's how I feel every time they show me that ad. I'm like,
outside of them promoting that game, we also got a sneak peek of other HBO shows coming up. We talked about A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, right? That's the Dunkin' Egg, but we also got a little taste of The Last of Us Season 2. The Last of Us Season 2 is off of the video game The Last of Us Part 2, and they're dividing Last of Us Part 2. Yeah. There's a trailer. They're dividing The Last of Us Part 2 into 2 different seasons, which me and Miguel have played. I don't know. I mean, I think Miguel agrees with me. It totally makes sense for them to split it into 2 different seasons. Miguel, what were your thoughts as someone who's, obviously played the game?
Yeah, Steven, sorry, I can't remember. Steven, did you play Last of Us Part 2 or watch?
No, I watched my nephews play a bit of it, but I watched my nephews play. My nephew keeps me abreast of this. I have 3 nephews that live here. They've all played. They all talk about it. They all debate.
Okay, so you're familiar enough.
I'm familiar with Last of Us. The first game I've watched them play. The second game I've not seen anything from, but they will argue about it for like. They're still arguing about it like years later. They're arguing. The 3 of them are like yelling at each other.
They can come on the podcast.
Out of your three nephews, which one of them like it and which one of them don't like it?
My eldest nephew does not like it. He says he's
how old is he?
21.
Okay, thank you.
21, 22.
This is good information.
Context is important here.
Okay, yeah. I think the middle one, I think he likes. You know what? I can't remember because I don't know what they're arguing about, and they don't do spoiler arguments for me. So like, well, what about and then and I'm like, whoa, what does this mean?
Man,
they're like, she goes to and does and I'm like, all right.
So the 21 is the eldest. He's the eldest one. Okay, so we're getting younger. Okay.
When it first came out, I went to go pick him up. He was working in Wyoming when it first came out, and he like played it up there. And we went to go pick him up and bring him home. Like he needed a ride home, so we drove out. We did a whole road trip to go get him. And when we got there, he was like, "Uncle, Last of Us season 2 or part 2, we got to talk because it's terrible." Like he was like,
"I already know."
He talked about it for like hours, and I was like, "I don't understand any of this." So they're very like it strikes a huge chord for them, and I don't understand.
The middle one, they like it. What is the youngest one?
I don't know. Actually, he's the quiet one. So he's not the one that engaged.
He might like it.
Yeah, I have to ask him. Actually, I'll ask him. But
I'll tell you this, Steven, just from looking, Mazel tov, he can come on the podcast.
Thank you. Hava Nagila.
The sneak peek preview of The Last of Us Part 2 for HBO. I thought there were some very just on the nose shots that they were like, we are going to do this shit. The very first one is from behind Ellie at the dance hall, which I won't give too much away, but it was almost a shot for shot, like pulled straight from the game. But then I was talking to Luis separately. There very clearly some, just like they did with season 1 of Last of Us, there's some reimagining of the way they're telling the story. And so I'm very excited for the way they address some of these things.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
I'm so confused. I don't get where the story goes. I just don't understand. I mean,
well,
I don't understand.
I can tell you now, but
well, I just mean, are they going? Like, is it like, we got to go get the cure in Boston again? We got to
No. I feel like Steven, you're gonna. Oh, I don't know. I mean, I thought Ed was gonna like the bear, so I was wrong there. But I feel like it's definitely not like let's create a new issue that we're going to like do.
No,
you know what I mean? It's nothing like that. It's kind of like what Breaking Bad does, where it builds off of what's done in the past.
Yes,
and so
got you. That makes perfect sense.
Whatever has happened in the first season, they're following up on that.
That was the perfect example, man. Because like it's like Gus is dead. What now? And then the best season you've ever seen. Yeah. Okay,
yes.
I know.
Yes.
Great example.
The choices that characters make in the first game, there are consequences to all those things. And one of the things that I was really excited about before Luis played the game, and I was just talking to Luis and Ed about it, is like there are characters that you see in the first game that are just like NPC characters that they turn into like genuine human characters with weight and consequences. So, that person you killed in chapter 1, and you know, all of a sudden these things
like
line
the
up.
Guard, like in that first episode, he like kills that guard. He like kills them, like something like that would having like, hey, by the way, that guard.
Something like that. Yeah.
Something like
Without
that.
Saying too much. That's something like that. Yeah. Because we don't want to. I don't want to say. Yeah.
Were you excited about this sneak peek preview? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I got very excited. I got goosebumps. I even showed Sarah. I was like, look at these goosebumps over here. It even makes me want to replay it again because I want to get in the right mindset when it comes out, so it's fresh. Obviously, you and me discussed it. If you want to hear our discussion, go back to our past podcast.
Oh yeah. Oh, by the way, I have no idea because every time it's like that, you're like, we're going to have a discussion. The spoiler time. I go click. Because I like season 1 so much. I wanted to watch season 2. First, I clicked off.
I enjoyed it. Miguel liked it too, right?
Oh yeah. Are you talking about the game?
So you guys are defending. You're saying it was good and well done. Okay,
yes. Gotcha. And in fact, just without your nephew being on the podcast telling us right now, I already know what they don't like about the
Okay.
Because it is so divisive, this game, and it is a very clear line, and you either stand on this side of it or this side of it. And if you're,
this whatever line, outsider, what the hell is it? Is there? I mean,
it's one of the greatest in that aspect, and it is one of the greatest games of all time.
Steven, you have an Xbox now. No, never mind.
Is Last of Us on Xbox?
No, it's not. It's on PlayStation.
Sorry.
Don't let him,
Luis. I forgot.
By the way, Luis, you were right about loading times. When Luis and I were hanging out in LA, he was we were looking at the Xbox. I don't know what it was, an S or whatever. And I was like, "Oh, the loading takes forever." And you were like, "Not with these Xbox." And I was like, "Are you sure?" You were right because it loaded in like a second. And
did you get the new one?
15 minutes. No, not me. No,
he went back home and he played on his old one, his hand-me-down.
No, I played on like a cousin's Xbox, and that Xbox like top of the line. And so I load Assassin's Creed. It takes me like 15 minutes to load Assassin's Creed. On my cousin's Xbox, it loaded in like 5 seconds. I couldn't believe it.
That's kind of insane. No, I do think the Xbox has. I'm sorry, we're gonna get into a whole.
Yeah, we're gonna get a whole thing. But I just want
totally
just to be clear, just to bring us back, it is not on the Xbox, correct? So I cannot play it.
No,
not yet. No.
But you can get a PlayStation for PlayStations aren't too expensive.
I'm trying. I want you to know, give my money to the man. I'm trying not to hand my cash over to corporations.
Oh, but Steven, the thing is you could
big money.
Okay, this is what you can do.
Face on Miguel's face.
You can talking about.
You can go to Facebook Marketplace, or you can go to OfferUp and get a cheaper PlayStation. You can even get a PlayStation 4. I mean, they're selling Xbox Series X's for $100 cheaper than the market value. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So if they're selling it for that cost, I
want you to know,
I'd rather give my money to a person than
a company. And you really can. You can do that. Yeah,
I played Last of Us Part 2 on my. What do they call that? The original
cell phone on an emulator.
Yes, correct. No, on the original PlayStation 4, the one that I bought like day one. You know what I mean? So I played Last of Us Part 2 on the PlayStation 4, and it didn't explode. So you could get a cheap PS4 and still play that game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's all I want to say.
Because I feel like you really should experience it in the game.
Okay.
I feel like that is a whole.
Well, what I can do is I can guilt trip my nephews into bringing over their equipment. And
there you go.
Play on their equipment.
Yes.
There you go.
There you go. That's great.
That's the real trick.
It's Last of Us season 2 is.
That's so cool. I'm gonna definitely check it out because I loved season 1 without having played the game. I thought season 1 was freaking awesome.
I think you're really gonna like season 2. To be honest, the story.
I'm excited to figure out why everyone's mad because I really just can't even pull out of my head why.
And that's the thing.
The problem.
They've changed right in between.
Unless the zombies go away. I don't get it.
Steven, the funny thing is when I played it, even when I was playing it, my mind was still racking. I was like, why do people not like this game? And then I'm like 3/4 in, why don't they like this game? And then I'm near the end, it's like, where did that happen? And then we had a discussion and we figured it out. But it's just like people, I don't know, people want things a certain way. And it's just like things, you play with stories.
The thing is, like, depending on how they do the story for the television show, the game just really took a storytelling. How do I say this? Just the way they crafted the story for the game, just like took it to a next level. It just was not. I was not expecting for them to make the decisions they did, not just in the story, the overall story, but how I experienced it as a player, as the audience. Mm-hmm. And so it's like I want the season 2 to capture that. I'm trying not to say too much, but I hear
you. No, I'm so confused. I mean, not from what you're saying, but thinking of what it could.
I get it.
I don't know. Like, does Joel and Ellie, do they fight or something? Like, do they turn on each other? Is the only thing you think of is like,
tune in and season 2 coming out in 2025 or play the game.
Play the game. I'll try to play the game.
So make sure you can go. Like I said, you can go to OfferUp, Facebook Marketplace to get this
that's
PlayStation
great.
4s. Yeah,
thanks for the tip. So what else was you were saying? And before the show, they show the game. They showed a clip of Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah,
Did they show any other trailers?
Honestly, I blacked them out. I saw the Night of Seven Kingdoms and the Last of Us, and maybe they might have sprinkled in some Penguin, but I already saw the Penguin stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like they already had that.
Right.
They already broke that seal of the Penguin.
The Penguin made me laugh. Matt Reeves was great. The Batman is great. Colin Farrell's great. All that stuff is great. But I just watched it being like, couldn't you just be like a prequel to The Sopranos? Like, does this need to be in the Gotham universe? It just made me laugh the whole time. I was like, what does this have to do with Batman? It's fine.
Yes,
I'll watch it. I like it.
Yes, sir.
But
yes, sir.
What does this
people
have to do?
People want money.
Gotham.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm surprised that what's his name is still like directing and involved with it. I'm like, you're really going to waste your. Yeah, I was like, you're really going to waste your time with this show?
Wow.
I don't know.
Well, it's important to get leads right into the second movie, Luis, and blah, 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 blah.
All right. Listen, I had some more news, but fuck it. Let's get right into House of the Dragon.
Fuck it, let's go.
The Queen Who Ever Was? No.
Yeah,
the Queen Who Never Was.
The Queen Who Ever Was is the name of the title.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, the Queen Who Ever Was. Ever. Not never. Ever. Y'all are struggling.
This is why I bring Steven and Miguel to the podcast, okay?
Luis doesn't remember all the text messages, so he doesn't.
It's been like I just can do this and then I'll move on, but it's been like 10 episodes. I'm gonna make sure Luis never gets this wrong again. Okay. Her name, the Queen Who Never Was, is Rhaenys. Rhaenys.
Hold on. I'm the one who said that right. Miguel was the one that said Rhaenyra.
Maybe,
what did I say?
Rhaenyra. You would say Rhaenuni. You never had it right.
Well, that's Rhaenys, and then there's a little one hunting the wild one. Her name is Rhaena, like queen.
And then Rhaenyra. It's all about ending. The first word is always Ray. Ray something.
Rhaenys.
Rhaenyra.
Nira.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ray.
To Luis's credit, I also was fucking that up.
No, I know. That's what I'm trying to say. As I was watching it, I was like, damn, I should have picked up the phone because I would have told you.
We did call you. I
know. I'm sorry. All right, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to keep interrupting. The queen whoever was, Luis.
The queen whoever was. My bad. Okay, so the queen whoever was is the finale. Let's just do like initial thoughts here. Miguel, what were you? Miguel, what were your initial thoughts of the queen whoever was?
I gotta say, I thought I had something spoiled for me, and I was surprised at the end that I misread that tweet. And I was like, the thing I thought was getting spoiled for me was actually not anything like that at all. So I came into it going, oh my gosh. By the end of it, I was like, oh shit, I'm on board. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I also think this episode had one of the best dialogue scenes of both seasons. And it reminded me of an early Game of Thrones scene in season 1. I don't want to overtalk it because I didn't go and revisit, so I don't want to sound dumb when I say this. But one of the best dialogue scenes in season 1 of Game of Thrones is Baratheon, Robert Baratheon and Cersei. They're sitting down like in his chambers or whatever across the table from each other. And they have this like very human back and forth. And it's like at a point in the show where like he's already smacked her at that one point and you know, I'm the king and you're beneath me and yada, yada, yada. But then they see each other and they have just a very like eye to eye conversation. And I thought this episode had one of those scenes for me. It was towards the end of the episode, but I was hooked on this dialogue. And overall, I just thought it was, I know Steven and some of the critiques have been, it was a little slow this season, which I understand.
Scene, though?
It's the Adam.
I'll get there.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, but I'm gonna forget.
I'm setting up I'm doing my general thoughts. My general thoughts.
I apologize.
I just, in general, thought that this season felt like Game of Thrones, in the sense of they are setting up a bigger thing. And it's like, yes, at the end of season 1, I wanted to jump right into the war. That was such a cliffhanger ending. I was jaw on the floor when the dragon ate the other guy. And
that child?
Yes, that little boy. I was ready to like burn this shit down. But then over this season, I realized like, okay, there's character development happening. Like she is not trying to be this like queen who burns things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I overall really enjoyed the season, and I really enjoyed this last episode. I'll talk more about it
awesome.
in a minute.
Luis?
Steven. No, go ahead, Steven.
Well, I mainly, the one thing I usually when I hop on here, I've got like some things to say. And the last couple times I haven't really had anything to say, not because there's nothing to say, but just because I don't have anything new to add. But it was this, basically. I thought I got one thing I wanted to say, which is usually I'm critical, or usually I'm like, I like, slow television I really like, and I'll defend it, and people will say it's too slow and I'll get mad at them. But like when Sean sent me all those points about how slow it was, I was like, yeah, man, I felt that too. Like there's nothing wrong with criticizing the seasons being slow. Sure. I think the first half went really fast, but if you watch this show, whether you read the book or not, and you felt this was too slow, this dragged on, we didn't need to see Daemon at Harrenhal 100 times, heck, I'll defend you. Like I agree, because not because I'm against, like there's like the whole Alicent thing. She's like having moments and experiencing herself, and it's all in silence, and that's okay. But it's just like I feel like every single one of us got it. I don't feel like there's anybody who needed more time with Alicent or more time at Harrenhal. They just kept doing it beyond what was necessary.
They kept repeating they kept beating the same drum over and over in like different
it's like
ways.
It's one thing to go slow, it's another thing to go too slow. It is possible to go too slow. And I was feeling that way as someone who knew where we were going and was so afraid of getting there that I wanted to go slow. I want to go slow, and I felt like we were going too slow. There's other people who don't know where we're going, and they felt it was too slow. And I just feel like they're not crazy for saying that. If you watch the season and you felt like we could have gotten to some more action, that isn't just you having low attention span. That's fair, because the plot, it seems to me, was ready to move, and they held it back. They like pulled the plot back away from when it was wanting to move. Like I was saying, there's 2 events that are going to happen, I assume, in season 3, episode 1, that could have happened right now. They could have happened in the finale. Like there's two major events, and they told us both of them, or they alluded to both of them. You know, at the end they do the whole montage and everything, and so they allude to what's going to happen. They talked about what's going to happen. They could have just done it. They could have just literally ended on that scene on a big event that would have made people going, "Oh man, this was worth it." And they chose to wait. I just don't understand why. I don't know what that was about. I don't. That kind of threw me off. That made me kind of upset.
I feel like you guys are going to flame me when I start talking about why I liked that dialogue.
No,
I'm worried you guys are going to be like, okay, loser.
No way, man. I feel like I'm at the point of like, whatever your opinion is about the show is valid. Like this show has been like a Rorschach test where it's like nothing you can say is crazy. Like if you loved it, if you hated it, if you like this character, you hate that character. I've heard literally every single opinion. Like I've never seen this in a show before where I've heard everything. I've heard characters I love be hated. I've heard characters I hate be loved. There's actors I'm watching this. I'm like, that is ridiculous acting. And then the internet's like, what great acting. I'm like, okay, this is great. Like I don't know what's happening. We are in like I've heard every single opinion, and I'm not arrogant enough to be like, no, my opinion's right. And y'all, I mean, screw it. I could be wrong. You know, it's like we are all coming up with our own assessment, and it's different every time. And I love it. I'm fine with it.
I like this. Steven, you can come on the podcast more often. Okay, this is good.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. No, yeah, the Rorschach test. The way go ahead, Big Al. Sorry.
No, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying that is what a great example, like thing to say. It's like it does feel like a Rorschach test because I've never seen so many people divided about this show where it's the exact same sentiment of what people were feeling and thinking. I mean, people were talking about how last episode should have been the season finale. You remember how it kind of ended at that kind of big moment, the moment when Vhagar's flying over, and then
and the dragons all yell.
They all yell, and so it's like that's a moment where like we have more dragons than you. People were saying that could have been a moment. People were saying there should have been more episodes so we could have got all the action beat moments. And the way that I watched it near the end is like, and I don't know if this is correct about how Fire and Blood is supposed to be, but I feel like what the writers were trying to tell me was that this is a story about Alicent and Rhaenyra and their relationship. And, you know, even on and even in the poster, you see them going head to head. From the beginning of the season, you have them mirroring their struggles from how they're trying to take advantage of each other, how no one's listening to them at all, and how they're just trying to reconnect. And it's that
women living in a man's world.
Exactly. And whether you agree with that or not, that is what the storytellers were trying to push forward.
Yo, this is there is. This is one sentence.
Yeah.
Before you, and then you go back to you.
No, yeah.
I've seen people complain about this, be like, oh, it's too feminist, this and that. George R. R. Martin has come out and said the only thing this story is about is feminism. Like if Rhaenyra had a cock, no battle. Rhaenyra has no cock, battle. He has said this is the only thing this story is about. If you hear someone complaining that it's too like woman-centric or feminist, George said he only wrote it for that purpose. So knock it off. That's all. Go ahead. Yeah. That's the theme. That's the one theme.
I haven't heard anyone say that, but you got me so mad just thinking about that.
Exactly.
Like,
I've heard it. Bro.
These characters. Okay. Nah,
the story is about women. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Like that's it. It's just it's what it is.
Yeah. Because if it was about a guy, it'd be a lot easier. Things would just kind of move a lot. It'd be
actually
a lot more boring.
Yeah.
To be honest, you know.
Exactly.
That's so dumb.
This whole thing is like these two and the mirroring of the two. Obviously, we see them meet each other at King's Landing. I was like, whoa. And then we see that at the end where Alicent is there, which we saw it coming, but still it's like, oh, wow, here they are meeting again. This whole thing is just about these two people and everything else is in between. Like the whole Daemon situation. Like at first I was like, all right, let's see what's going on. And then after a while I was like, all right, clearly
I want to
go ahead.
I have a question about the Daemon at Harrenhal thing that I'm kind of hoping Steven can elaborate on. I saw a TikTok or whatever where it was another podcast. I'm sorry for not shouting out them. I'm not trying to steal their content, but they were like, you know, fuck them. Okay. I'm trying to get views too. All right. Where he was saying, oh, people are complaining about Daemon at Harrenhal, but he was saying that in the book, Daemon just goes away and they don't really have all that. And this is the show's interpretation of that so that they can keep Matt Smith on screen for the season.
He's right. He's right. Matt Smith or Daemon disappears to Harrenhal and then we don't see him again for a while. But what I would have done and what I was shocked that was when it happened like in episode 2 or something, or episode 3. like right away he left to Harrenhal, I would have pushed that back to like episode 6 or 7, and then I would have had like heavy dreams and then brought him around to the same place at the end of the season. I just wouldn't have done it so early. I don't know why they did it so early. I know that happens in the book chronologically, but if you're telling a visual story, I would have kept Daemon. I would have Daemon go crazy at Dragonstone. I just wouldn't have done it at Harrenhal. And then when he goes to Harrenhal, it's still crazy. It just, I feel like it happened too early. Yes, of course. You know what? Same thing happened with Reek and Theon in the books, Game of Thrones. We don't see any of that. We just meet Theon again later.
Yeah.
And I don't like the way they did that. I didn't appreciate watching him be tortured and all this stuff, because then everyone fell in love with Theon again, when what you're supposed to do is harbor that resentment when you meet him again. And then you find out what happened. I don't like the way they told that story. They shouldn't have kept us visually watching it, but they didn't know what to do. So they just kept it going. That's how this felt with Daemon, where it's like, it's okay. You can wait, send him away. Maybe we don't see him for a couple episodes and then we see him again. I didn't like having to check in on him. That was,
you know what?
To me, that's just no.
If the argument is they want to keep Matt Smith on screen, right, because he's like the top billed actor, this and that, he could have gone away. Like he would have then had this big return that people would have been into. Like Otto Hightower has been gone for like 6 episodes.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And
when Cage or something?
When they showed him, I was like, what's happening? I want to know. That same thing could have happened with Daemon. He could have been gone. But at the same time, the memes, you guys, the internet loves that old man, that sassy old man with the
Simon
dress.
Strong.
Yes. Is that his name?
Simon Strong?
Oh, Simon Strong. You were texting about him.
Let's get into the Simon Strong situation, because you were saying that.
Let's hear it.
Let's just go. Let me just throw it to you. Yeah, Simon Strong.
Okay, this is my thing. A lot of people. There was a meme that was like, "Oh, when Simon Strong gets the whiff of treason, he writes to Rhaenyra."
Yeah.
No, Simon Strong and Alice River. Okay, just a disclaimer. This is my opinion. This is my fan theory. I am not saying it's a fact,
but it's
just saying.
But you're making a theory
based on what I know and whatever. Yeah. Simon Strong and Alice Rivers are working together. Simon Strong is not some bumbling dotard, like old man, like, ooh, what? No, he is playing Daemon the only way he knows how. He can't yell at him. He can't tell him what to do. So he's got to play subtle and off. And then he's going to and then Alice and him communicating. Alice, go give him this, go talk to him. And so when Simon's like, what's wrong, my lord? He knows what's wrong.
He knows.
This is the game. This is the same way that his nephew, Clubfoot, Larysstraw, goes, huh? What? This is what they do. This is the whole point of the universe. Politics is people playing dumb. I'm just a simple old man. Who's this? No!
So for the viewers at home,
Dragon Rider entered the chat.
For the viewers at home, Ed Ball just jumped into the chat. Ed, welcome, Ed. Ed, we're talking House of the Dragon.
Otto Hightower is home.
Ed, okay, so before we jump into Ed's thing, because I want to roll in what Steven's talking about. Steven is talking about.
I feel like I was done. It's okay.
No, you weren't. You weren't done.
No.
Okay. You weren't done. Do a quick little recap for Ed.
Okay, I was just saying, Simon Strong. He's not some foolish old man. He's in on it. He's controlling Daemon. They're playing. Him and Alice are in it together. It's uncle and niece, and they're playing the game. And they're working Daemon. They're slowly working him like you would a child. They're slowly trying to educate him. They're slowly trying to get him back to Rhaenyra, and they do. They accomplish it. So everyone looks at it like he's just this goofy old guy. They like Simon Strong because he looks goofy, but he's not goofy. This is the game. If you pretend
smart.
to be this way, you guys seen The Prestige?
Just
you know, You know the old
Do you listen to this podcast?
The Chinese magician who carries the fishbowl.
Yeah.
That's the game. This is how you survive in Game of Thrones. You make your public life the lie. This is Simon Strong.
Like you said, hit like Clubfoot, like Littlefoot.
Like Clubfoot. You make the lie. Like if Clubfoot went, haha, just kidding, I have 2 good legs, that would make perfect sense. You know, that's the game you play. You play the game
even in this.
Clubfoot said to Aegon, he said they'll underestimate you. That's good. You want that. That's
in this last episode. You see that one guy coming in, like Rhaenyra's like, can you go fly to Harrenhal and find out what's going on with Daemon? And then he gets there and he's like,
Alpha
yo, bro.
Broom.
Yeah, he's like, yo, bro, fuck Rhaenyra. We need a king. You got to rule.
By the way.
And during that time, you hear the word traitor.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
And so,
who said that?
And then when
you guys know?
you cut to, they show the camera to that Simon guy, Simon Strong.
But who said traitor? Who said it?
I don't know who said it, but I have Simon there on the corner, and I feel like he's throwing magic over there, and he's like,
I like it though.
Long throwing his voice, saying traitor over there. You know, like he's peeking in the corner, doing things. Now, what were you thinking? Who said it?
I did not realize that this wasn't like a guaranteed thing. I thought this was like something that we all recognize from the show or whatever. The weirwood tree is the three-eyed raven's eyes and ears. The three-eyed raven, and there are an infinite amount of three-eyed ravens because there's one in every generation. Not in every generation, but there's a three-eyed raven and a three-eyed raven and a three-eyed raven. They pass the baton, and they can go throughout time, and they can see through weirwood trees, and they can hear through weirwood trees, and they can talk through weirwood trees. So if you go near a weirwood tree, a three-eyed raven who's been dead for 400 years could say Luis because they go through time. That's their portal. So when Daemon touches Alice makes him touch the weirwood tree, he's connecting with Blood Raven, the three-eyed raven, who gave Bran his power. So that's why I say every time I see a weirwood tree, I say, "Hi, Bran." That's Bran. That's a three-eyed raven looking out. So every time we see a weirwood tree, that's a three-eyed raven, the old gods looking out. So traitor is someone who's watched the story, looking back, going, "You motherfucker." That's the three-eyed raven. That's a three-eyed raven. Yeah, they look through weirwood trees.
Ed, we've been talking about our initial thoughts of House of the Dragon season finale. What were your thoughts after
just our initial? That's as far as you guys have gone?
We did a 2-hour thing on the bear, and
well, I'm glad you got it out of your system. Initial thoughts, it was surprising in its deviation. I feel like from I guess expectations, really. It didn't feel
poetry. Yeah, exactly correct.
That's bars, Ed.
Bars, Ed. Bars.
It didn't feel as explosive, but at the same time, just from the general pacing of House of the Dragon overall, from season 1 and 2, I feel like clearly they're just setting the stage for something grander in next season, and we can only hope that to be the case. And they announced that it's going to be ending on season 4, so they have like a what?
Oh, nothing. We just talked about it exactly. We had 15 minutes of beta.
Okay, well, I won't. Yeah,
it's okay.
Tell us real quick. With that in mind, it just feels like it's they have a plan. So the next season, war is going to begin again. I have notes about how this season played out overall. There are some things that are lacking, but they also really kind of raise the stakes as far as dragon fighting, which terrifies me now going forward. It's not just going to be this cool thing that I'm going to jerk off to later. It's going to be this devastating, haunting, traumatic experience. And for that, I am deeply worried. They have some interesting characters in play, but I think also there are some storylines that got kind of not necessarily short-served, but just felt like they were meandering.
Meandering. Again, with the poetry. God damn it, I wish I had his vocabulary. I would have used all these words.
A little bit repetitive. But anyway, I'll stop
it's just that Ed read more books than you, Steven.
I know, I can tell. It takes me off. I don't doubt it, actually. I know, I can tell.
Oh, and by the way, just want a quick shout out. I've been drinking the Cabernet Sauvignon for House of the Dragon.
Well, let's look at those legs, Ed. I think there are too many legs on that thing.
Also, the tannins. Don't forget the tannins.
No, I'm talking about the bottom.
Well, cheers. Just catching up. Just catching up.
Cheers. No, that was great. Who's next? Luis, you're supposed to give us your opinion now.
I think I did, didn't I? Or no?
Didn't you?
I don't think he did. Miguel, get him. Yeah, he's trying to escape. He's trying to escape. Don't let him escape, Miguel. Get him.
Tell us now.
Tell us what you felt.
Guys, I don't know. It was fine. I mean, I think the thing is like I knew from the beginning already that this was a story between these two women. And kind of their progression.
Know what? Actually, that was you did tell us, and I was going to comment on that point.
Yeah, go ahead.
You're right. Actually, you did, and I'm realizing that now because you said it last time. And this is not a criticism in either direction. It's just this is what is like dividing the book readers from like the show watchers is in the book. That's not true. Alicent and Rhaenyra are not opposites. Alicent has nothing to do with it. Rhaenyra, they're not opposites. It's Aegon versus Rhaenyra.
Oh,
but the show has reframed it. Yeah, the show has reframed it as Alicent versus Rhaenyra, and it's ticking a lot of people off. A lot of people don't like that because I couldn't actually tell you why. Not that they have bad arguments, just that I haven't studied it enough to give you their defense. But a lot of it is that because of that, they had to make Alicent some type of hero or villain when she's actually neither. I'm doing a bad job of representing their opinion.
What is Alicent if she isn't either of those? Is she just indifferent and boring?
Actually, she's kind of just a mean, cruel person. Yeah, background. She's kind of just like whatever. Like there's a picture of, okay, that scene in season 1 where they have their final dinner together. There's that final dinner and they're laughing. There's a drawing of that in the books, and Alicent is like really mad, angry, and Rhaenyra is having fun.
This is crazy to me.
Okay,
this is insane to me because the whole back of this show for me is those two people. Like even when we meet them for the first time, it's about their bond. It's about how they go through in their time.
Remember, that's all show. That's not.
It's all show, and that is only writers.
That's what I'm saying.
Writers are telling me. So if the show. If the show
no, but I like
in
it.
season 1, then the show has to build off of what it put in season 1. If we went into another direction, then it feel a little schizophrenic of like, well, why are we now pivoting and why are we abandoning this really close relationship that kind of traumatized both of them as far as like their life experiences go? And are we never going to touch base on that again? Or are we just going to move on and just forget that, everything that they went through together? Whether they went about it the correct way, whether it was executed correctly, is another discussion. And the whole thing that you brought out, which I totally love, and what Sean said as well, was that they've just beat the drum too many times. We saw the same repeated beats over and over again from these people, from Daemon in Harrenhal, from Alicent going through her troubles, from people having a difficult time with their counsel. Yes, they can have those difficult moments with them, but what else are you bringing to the table? We've established that. Now yes, and it. And we've kind of repeated the same thing. And so it's just like the season 2 could have been, it's 8 seasons? If you were going to give me this 8-season, let's just make it a 4-episode season. Like it truncate it more, make it a tighter show. And we are all in for slow pacing shows, but I don't want repeated beats in the show.
Ed, repeated beats is right.
Yeah.
Ed, one of the things we were talking about before you jumped on. Good job, Ed. Ed, one of the things we were talking about before you jumped on and that we were all agreeing with, and I think you were kind of saying something when you and I were talking about it privately in our tech chat, was it's just like this show is just like so women centric, and it's like where are the men? You know what I mean?
Where are the men?
Right. Ed complains about lack of male representation.
Absolutely.
That's all I hear.
I want my white male men.
I mean, don't get me started about white boys, like, man.
No, I'm just
not
kidding.
enough. Yeah. History lacks too many white males. That's what I've always said.
Yeah,
I've always said not enough white men in history.
So speaking to what I think you were just saying, Luis, though, is that they, and Stephen, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but like
I'll also correct you.
Miguel, throw me an insult every couple of minutes, okay?
You got it.
All right, we all have our tasks. So like the House of the Dragon is kind of like a historical retelling, and so because of that, the characters as a consequence seem very 2D, and it feels like the writers are trying to overcompensate with that.
I love that.
Trying to. I mean, I'm asking if this is like a general feeling.
I like that.
It feels like they're just overcompensating with very just like loosely tied episodes with maybe like a spitter spatter here of like actual history points. And I understand that there's a lot to fill in, but also then they go on to introduce certain characters or follow certain characters that all of a sudden seem random, like forgive me, one of the Lannister bros, the mud wrestling guy.
Thailand.
It is hard to keep up. Like, I appreciate that the Lannisters have taken like a backseat in the show so far.
Agreed.
But you know what I mean? To the point though that the scenes that we see them in through the last couple of episodes almost feel just like random and useless at this point because we haven't been keeping up with these characters.
No, yes.
So you're just
Ed has brought in two concepts that are absolutely accurate: repetitive and useless. Yeah, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
Repetitive and useless. That's when I criticize scenes, is when they're repetitive and useless.
When we see the Lannister in the end of the in the end of finale, it's just like, oh, this does feel like if we're going to establish this, shouldn't we establish this next season? Like, why are we doing this?
I hated every one of his scenes. I hated. I got viscerally mad.
We didn't even get to see him, sleeping with all the wives.
He also had.
That's why I looked up. I looked it up for like 3 hours and nothing. Yeah, I was on Google for 3 hours afterwards.
Deleted scenes, please.
Yeah.
I will say if we're talking about this Lannister, he had maybe the worst CGI shot of the entire show so far. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
No.
Let me tell you. Let me bring you in, babies. Okay. It's first off. Just a side note, my wife and I are really quick to point out really shitty CGI scenes on Game of Thrones because do you guys remember that one scene in Game of Thrones where they're in the gladiator arena type thing, and then Daenerys' dragon scoops in to
it's
whatever.
The first time that you really see the dragon in action,
and it's like some of the worst CGI of that entire show.
Really? See, I'm bad at this. Is
this
it? I didn't notice
this
that.
season also when he finally wins the pirate lady over and they get on the boats and they're sailing to wherever and at one point he's just standing like Peter Pan on this deck and it's like this big the sea is alive and moving and he's not reacting to it at all. They're just walking still flat and I was just like, oof, that was pretty bad. It's hard to look at.
It's usually a lighting issue where it's like they're doing just basic 3-point lighting of soft light, core light, backlight. And so it looks like a studio lit thing, but then nature isn't reflecting all of those. It's like the light of the water isn't bouncing off correctly. So you don't get this nuanced thing where it's hitting your face. You just get this very clean setup splashed around the people rendering at a completely different lightscape. And so it comes off.
Absolutely. Those actors were not on the ocean. You know what I mean? It's like they just were not there in their heads physically. It just did nothing about what they were doing plus what the visuals were doing.
By the way, the show that Luis shared with us, Those About to Die, the Anthony Hopkins one, the NBC one.
Yeah.
I watched season 1. The lighting, I was sitting there every single episode like, how the hell they do that? The sun is setting and here it is setting on their face. They're outside. No way they actually filmed it outside. How did they do that? I'm stunned. You're right. In this episode, I was like, clearly they don't have the technology that NBC has.
I have to remind myself, and I mean, I don't feel like I'm too snobby when it comes to CGI. I think there's a justification when they are paying
British
for
accent
it.
Coming in.
Well, hang on. It's it's TV CGI, and Game of Thrones kind of was the first to actually pour money into their episodes and their show for. And I'm not saying it always hit, but in the grand scheme of things, it's a very big show.
There are those moments.
It mostly works. It mostly works.
Like the dragon scenes when the big dragon,
and that is the important bit.
Those work. They prioritize them correctly.
Good point.
Exactly.
Good point.
If it is justifying the story. And it works to the story. That's great. If it's just background, I can forgive it.
And that was kind of a filler shot anyway.
Sorry, I do agree with you. And especially, I feel like with House of the Dragons, and we talked about this a lot in the first season, was that they also have kind of used this very kind of blurry, milky cinematography.
Yeah.
That makes it very... Luis, you probably have a better word for it.
Agreed.
But just that kind of...
What does that mean? Agreed.
Very similar to Godzilla versus Kong New Empire. They do that a lot in that movie.
Yeah.
If you guys remember. No, it's like the edges are blurred.
Of course I remember.
It's a very specific color tone and stuff like that. I don't know. But yeah, anyway. The dragons are where it counts. And if there's one thing to take away from this season, it was the...
we had some pretty awesome dragon shots. I remember one where Daemon was at the Riverlands, I think.
That's
and
the
he's
one.
like, you better
That is the
bow down.
one.
I'm going to burn you. And then it's just the dragon. It comes down, and it's this long ass shot. I'm like, ooh.
That blew my mind.
Yeah, that was
That blew my mind.
one of my favorite shots.
That
of the
dragon got a long ass neck, dude. I can't believe how big.
Yeah, Syraxis is the bloodworm. He's got that.
We still haven't seen fuck all from him though. Everybody keeps saying,
Well,
he's
don't
cool.
worry, baby.
But this is what I'm. But this is why I say it doesn't matter if you've read the book or not. It's taking.
It's slow.
too long.
Yeah.
Season 1 was slow, and I said, wait. But season 2 being too slow doesn't make any sense.
It sounds like, you know what I mean? It feels like you feel like you're being an asshole because you're like, no, I'm promising you this. And then they pull the rug out from under you.
You nailed it.
And it's bullshit. It's bullshit.
Thank you. Thank you for defending me, Miguel.
Because you're coming to this shit. You're like, I know what I'm talking about. It's going to happen. Trust me. And they got you with mud on your face, you know?
Well, that's why I say Ed and I started a separate text chain because I
don't want to hear about it.
No, you do need to hear about this because he had predictions. He was like, what about this? What about this? I was like, Ed, you nailed it. If you read the book, you would have had me perfect. Like, perfect. You nailed it, Ed. So I told him a little like kind of mini spoiler because I thought that would be the finale. And it wasn't the finale. So I told him a thing because I thought it was inevitable.
Now he's got to wait 2 years.
Yeah, and so now I feel like the asshole.
He's going to wake up.
The show made me feel like the asshole because I was the one trying to defend it.
You just wake up in a cold sweat.
You just reminded me that the fact that it is 2 years is like the slight. If anything, it's the most underwhelming thing. It's just like,
don't worry, Ed. You're going to get more Game of Thrones content year after year. Okay, when we're going to get Night of the Seven Kingdoms next season, next year.
Great.
And then you're going to have House of Dragon season 3, and then after that you're going to have Night of the Seven Kingdoms part 2, but then also the animated show. I'm just saying, don't worry, buddy. You're going to have
Game of Thrones. What if?
What about
a lot of content?
Game of Thrones. Daenerys Quantumania.
Yeah. Pentos. You know.
Deadpool 7.
Yeah, what's happening at Essos?
Dragon.
I want to get a whole series on Essos. You know, like let me know.
I hate Essos.
I know.
That ticked me off.
Yo, Aegon does too. He was like, "What are you gonna do? Take me to Essos?" I was like, "Dang, dude, he had that venom in his voice when he said that shit."
Did you guys talk about how his cock? He talked about his cock.
No,
believe it or not, we didn't bring up his cock in this episode.
We didn't get far into the episode.
Okay, yeah, clearly. I should have held back. I could have got more done. No, I just thought, like, man, he's had some stellar lines.
But those are the scenes. Season. I'm like, why are we wasting time? Your cock is
I was wondering. Why not? What happened to
Ed wanted more cock.
And it boiled. It like popped like a sausage. Like that's how they described it.
That he has a line of dialogue where he's like, and every time I pee, I just leak down my leg. Ed was like, show us.
I want to see you dribble.
He's gonna come back. He's gonna come in a scene, and it's gonna look like he just went to the bathroom, and he's got a little on his jeans. You know what I mean? And you're like, oh look, there he is.
I have a question for you guys. Bela, or no? Who is the sister of Aegon and
Helena?
She says Aegon will have a wooden throne. Do you guys know what that means? Apparently, people are confused.
I assume like a wheelchair.
No. Boom. No, Miguel's right. It's coffin.
Oh, fuck yeah. Let's go. Let's go.
It's a wheelchair. Bran had a wooden throne.
Yeah.
Bran had a wooden throne. Aegon has a wooden throne. So he
I'm out. We're about to just repeat Bran.
People were so confused. People were like, what's a wooden throne? I was like, they said that in Game of Thrones.
I just thought like that. Like what is a wooden throne? A chair. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And it's like,
wheelchair.
He's already crippled. You know what I mean? They've been talking about that
back then. A toilet, which Tywin Lannister
died
on.
King. He died on the wooden throne.
Spoilers, by the way.
Shit's gold. Yeah. He does not, in the end, shit gold. That is the last sentence about Tywin Lannister. I love it. Tywin Lannister, in the end, did not shit gold.
Is that a line?
Yep, that's the line of the book. It's the last line of the chapter.
Read the fucking book.
Tywin Lannister.
I'm going to read the books. I'll read the books.
I'm going to have words with George R. Martin.
What would it be? Tell him to read James Joyce.
We talked about Aegon, but I also wanted to get into this other what's it called storyline. Was the whole Adam of Hull and his father? I think that we set that up earlier, and they had a little bit of a meetup or conflict this episode. Miguel, was this the discussion you were talking about? Was this the dialogue you were talking about as like being the one Or no?
First off, thank you so much for remembering that I said that earlier, but also thank you for giving me a perfect segue to talk right now, because I did not like this scene between Adam Hull.
Oh my goodness!
Corlys. Now, the implications of this scene and like where the characters go from it, I understand. I personally did not like the actor's choice. Adam Hull in this scene, a lot of his dialogue, I was like, oh, you're acting right now. You know what I mean? It felt like, oh, you're like maybe a fourth year acting major, and you've just got your first big like film scene. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, okay, you're doing good, but I just don't. Especially because Corlys is so good every scene he's in. I like him.
Corlys is crazy. A lot. Yeah,
he needed some more like extra rehearsal time with those boots, man. He did not know how to walk around in those boots. He looked so awkward in that attire.
He stuck out. He absolutely had. I'm getting laughed at by Luis, but
I'm loving it ahead with the boots. That's amazing.
I wanted him to engage Corlys in more dimensions.
Rewatch that scene and watch him walk away from that bitch. He's like, because he looks stupid as fuck. Like, no grace whatsoever. Like, some people are rocking these outfits like they were born to wear them.
Even the other
Daemon comes walking out, she rocks that shit.
Yeah, when Daemon comes walking out with that Lego ass armor, he looks badass. But like, that guy walking away from
the actor wearing the costume and the costume wearing the actor. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like yes, you don't quite fit. And I just thought and I had liked him in other scenes. But it was something about that scene where it's like, I understand what you're saying to Corlys. I understand why that was important to you as a child. I felt for the young boy version of himself, like imagining your dad walking down the street with his rightful, you know what I mean, heir, and you're the bastard son who's
like he doesn't know you're his, like he doesn't know.
Exactly. That dialogue is really good, but the delivery, the acting, I personally did not like.
Okay, Miguel, I gotta ask you. It's just time to ask you. What do you think about Aegon as an actor? The actor who played Aegon. What do you think about his whole?
Wait, you got a problem with Aegon?
Oh, I've got the biggest problem with Aegon. That was
because
the
of
biggest
over the acting.
That's like Al Pacino winning Oscar for Scent of a Woman. It was I'm acting right now, can't you tell? Wow. Yeah, it was a fucking joke. So I want to know what you think about Aegon's acting. What do you think about Aegon's overacting, I should say? What do you think about that actor overacting, a.k.a. copying a movie, a show you have not seen, I guarantee, a show called Domina, where he played Augustus Caesar, and he did the same exact motherfucking character.
The same guy?
Oh, easily the same guy. The same guy playing the same character, doing the same exact thing again. Yeah, he photocopied his old work. You don't know that work, right? So you're saying, good job. But if you knew his old work, you would say, why are you photocopying? Mm-hmm. He did this character before, and it was overacting then, and it's overacting now. But the world loves it. Wow, he yelled. That must mean good acting, right? Tears fell. That must mean good acting, right?
Yeah.
So, So if this is overacting, what do you think about Aegon, who overacted every single line he ever had?
I personally think that's so interesting you say that, because I just thought I wasn't liking the character, like purposefully. You know what I mean? Like, oh, Aegon is an asshole. I don't like him. You know what I mean? But that's interesting you say that, because once he becomes deformed and crippled, like, it's not like he had any of these big moments anymore. He kind of like not softened, but was like muted. You know what I mean?
And
like,
all of a sudden, no one had anything positive to say about his acting. No one complimented him anymore. His compliments died when he got crippled. Yeah. They loved it when he was yelling and screaming and overacting. But the minute he got subtle, no one had anything to say anymore. To me, that's an offense against acting. Acting is subtle. It's delicate. When he got subtle and
sometimes
delicate,
acting, hey, acting I'm also big. Have you met me?
I love big acting. I'm a huge fan of big acting. Don't pretend I'm not against big acting. I love Tom Hardy. You all hate him. I love it. The big acting stuff.
Hey, I like Tom Hardy. You're coming my friend. I love Tom Hardy.
I feel like I've I feel like I've lost the plot here. I don't really understand where Steven's coming from this. Do you like Aegon or do you not like Aegon?
I think he's a great actor. I think when he's doing his overacting stuff on his feet, it's ridiculous.
It's not what I picked up at all from that last
Ed, right? I was like,
no, he said when he's on his feet, he doesn't like it when he's yelling.
Acting is about honesty and delicacy. When he's screaming,
I saw that. Yeah.
No. It's about delicacy. It's about subtlety. When he's standing up in the small council, this is trash acting, and I feel like he's doing it on purpose. He's showing how a monster acts. He's showing how a fool acts. Mm-hmm. When his legs are broken, he's giving you subtle acting, quiet. And all of a sudden, no one had anything to say anymore. All of a sudden, when he's being subtle, all of a sudden, no one had any compliments for his acting.
I mean, it's like no one talks about Otto, Hightower, or Corlys' acting.
Bingo. When the best actors are crushing it, no one has anything to say. When someone's screaming and crying, all of a sudden,
okay, let's talk about another actor. We're talking about actors because I'm always sharing the lips of a man throughout our text chains.
Oh my god!
These lips are always one that I'm just not vibing with.
I tell you no. I'm ready to fight you on this. Go ahead.
You ready to fight me on it? You like him? You like what's his name? Lips boy.
You tell me. Aemond or Jace?
Yeah, I forgot his name for a second. That's
I know. I was like, you got to be more clear.
So my eyes scrambling.
They both pout. Listen, I am an Aemond. I've been converted to a believer of Aemond's actor. I did not like him at first. When I first saw Aemond, I was like, this motherfucker. Like, they had to get the most, like, prissy look face that they could get. You know what I mean? But then the more I just looked at him, the more I was like, okay, I get it. I'm buying in. Yep. The scene with Helena. When his like eye is watering, you know what I mean? It's like, I love that because up until then he had been so stern and it was clear like he's making a play for the crown. But then here he's kind of like shook by what she's saying. So, that's actually such another great dialogue scene. That's another like contender for me. That's not the one I was going to talk about, but I loved the dialogue between the two of them.
It felt desperate on his part, obviously. Like,
yes, I loved her response.
Yes.
At first it was lashing out, and then of course you got to go to the side and think about it for a minute. But then, coming back to it later, and he's like trying his best to win her.
Yeah.
He even has a really soft. He has a really great moment. Grabs her, and then he turns soft.
He doesn't grab her. He tries to grab her, but he stops and pulls back. Wow. It's this moment where he's like, I'm going to try to be strong. And then he thinks it read like Aemond was like, let me not do that. Let me make a choice to not do that. And then from that point on, it was basically like she was running that scene. You know what I mean? Like she had control over that dialogue. I'm honestly surprised I didn't think about this sooner. I did love that scene. That was a really good one. That was the first time I was like, they've been talking about this girl throughout the season. She's shown up here and there, and she's kind of like, I don't really understand what they're doing with her. Then it was like, oh, I get it, because she talks to Daemon in one of those dreams that he's having, and it's like, oh, you've also got this, like, right? Am I not wrong? Like she has this
has sight.
She has sight.
Yes.
Do you guys remember what she tells him? Like how his story ends?
She says she gets swallowed up. You get swallowed up by the god's eye and you never return. And he says, I could have you killed. And she goes, it wouldn't change a thing. And
you guys know what the god's eye is?
I thought it was the sky. Like,
Ed, please guess.
No. Is what Miguel said, the sky.
He said it's the sky.
Maybe
Ed,
the ocean.
What do you think, Miguel? What do you think, Ed?
I thought it had something to do with the what are those trees called?
The weirwood trees?
The weirwood trees, and like
close. You're close.
Is it really?
What is the god? The god's eye is a literal definition. It's the geographical explanation of Westeros. There's a place called God's Eye. You guys know where that is?
No, I'm googling it.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah, obviously don't Google it.
Yeah, let it be. If you don't know, let it be. Because if otherwise,
if I Google it, it's going to take me to just like a big old arsehole.
Wrong. Ed, if you Google it, the end will show up. They'll tell you. That's why I say this is spoilers. She gave a spoiler, just like she always does.
Helena,
she knows the story.
Yeah, she knows the story. She saw the end.
I do
just
love
like the three-eyed raven.
I do love the growth of Helena's character, if you could call it that. It's more of just like all of a sudden she has the audience's attention in every scene that she is in.
Because you finally learn that she's telling the truth.
Right.
Most people ignored her.
Yeah,
You're finally learning that she's telling the truth.
I mean, she was like one of the funnier moments in season 1 towards the end at that family dinner. But like, throughout season 2, she's become quite endearing.
Well, and I think in very typical Game of Thrones fashion, she started this season pointing out the boy, right? And they kill that child, and that's kind of a heinous thing to do. And you're like, how do I? You kind of understand she's scared, you know what I mean? But it's really this really awful act that happens because of her actions. But by the end of the season, you're kind of like you're on her side more. You've become like drawn into what she's doing, and I think that's so Game of Thrones. Think about like Jamie Lannister. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. Well, no, that moment just wasn't as simple as that, or as what we thought. Like in the moment, everybody thought it was like, "Fuck!" Like how do you? How
could you do that? Yeah,
but it is so layered, not just for her character, but just like the inevitability of what was going to happen. You know, sorry, go ahead.
Can I bounce off of this? Because this is like another point in the episode that people have discussed, was near the end when Alicent and Rhaenyra have their discussion.
Met.
Yeah, when they met, and there was this whole idea of like, okay, you're on my side. You're going to say you're going to do these things, son for a son. You know, are you going to give up Aegon? Do I get to take his head? And you go through this whole thought process of what she was going through. You know,
guys, that is my favorite moment of all time because. If she was a monster, like I was yelling through the screen, I was like, why would you tell the truth? Why would you explain it to her? Like there's 3 of you here. If I was fighting a civil war against every one of you and I had to kill one of your kids, I would lie to you. Like I would pretend, oh no, don't worry, he'll be fine. Then when we get to him, we'll kill him. She told the truth. I was like, why would you tell the truth? Why are you doing that? It's the same thing Jon Snow did. He told the truth. Why?
Because she doesn't want to make a breakable promise. She doesn't want to say
because she's honorable, because she has honor, because she has respect, because she has dignity. Exactly. Yeah. I would have lied.
This for me, this was the scene, the dialogue scene that I was.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
I super enjoyed this moment. Luis, you talked about the mirroring of these two characters. They clearly met earlier in the season at King's Landing, and how big of a deal that was for that to happen.
The blocking. Rhaenyra was on the right and Alicent was on the left, and then they flip it over here once they
go even further. Look at like Rhaenyra's face.
That's so fucking cool.
Rhaenyra's face when she's in King's Landing is one of like concern and fear,
and she's shrouded almost. She comes in shrouded. Yeah.
Yes, and when they're in Dragonstone or wherever, she's like more hardened, much like Alicent was in that first scene. You know what I mean? Like it's so good. The dialogue was also so good. But not only that,
think about any of this shit.
The choices that the actors were making as well. And it's just I loved the back and forth. It felt like every line was a dagger into the next person, you know? And that's where I was like, oh, wow, this feels like Game of Thrones. I am really digging this dialogue. It does not have to be the dragons every episode. It really needs to be about the core problem. You know what I mean? I'm blanking on the word.
Emotional bond between the central characters.
That is the scene. That is the quote unquote like almost climax. That is the big battle scene. That is your battle scene. That is the climax. That's where they meet up. That's the writer's intention of like, we are all building up to this point.
Yes. Where I gotta rethink my analysis now.
Just back to hearing both of those scenes when either one of those characters show up in a place that they should not be in, I immediately, as an audience member, was on the edge of my seat, concerned. Because I like Alicent, I like Rhaenyra. I don't want either of them.
Yes,
same.
If they both die in some valiant effort, then that's how the way the story goes. But I don't want them to be hurt. Do you understand what I mean? Like I don't want them to just show up and oops. You know what I mean? So I was on the edge of my seat in both of those scenes. I don't want Rhaenyra to be found out in King's Landing. I don't want Alicent to be found out here.
Absolutely.
No, I love
We want to protect them.
Because
we want to make them safe.
Yeah, it's because, again, they established so well that all the other characters are kind of out for their own gains, and they impulsive and reckless, and for Rhaenyra being in King's Landing, if Criston Cole, Aemond, or Aegon had found her, or word got to them about her being in the city, they would have crucified her. And likewise, likewise for Alicent. What, I feel like Rhaenyra, just everybody would have just been questioning, like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, keep a prisoner or something. Like, this is a hand that's just been dealt to us. Like, take it. But yeah, and
who they are
on the Kingsguard of Rhaenyra's Kingsguard's face, when he makes a realization who it is, kind of thing. And you've got 3 guards in there who had to walk away. And
they walked away and they were like, "Yo, is that bitch?" And they were like, "Yeah, that's that bitch, right?" Yo, I thought that was her. She had the thing on. I didn't know.
People wear capes and whew, it's illusion.
No, I tell you, when she flipped that cloak on, I was like, man, that's that Marvel hat and a jacket thing that they do in like Captain America. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like all of a sudden you're like, wait, who is that? Whoa, he's got a hat on?
Do you guys think, leading up to that scene, obviously they kept the identity at bay, but did you guys think it was somebody else for a moment?
What do you mean?
Like that build up to when we find out it's Alicent?
Oh no, I knew it was Alicent all along.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just assumed.
Right.
All right. I thought it was Agatha. Fuck me.
It was Agatha all along.
It was Agatha all along. Yeah.
Thank you for getting that. Okay. Well, I was just curious.
I always wonder about what Ed thinks about the 3-eyed raven when Daemon touched the weirwood tree.
Oh, you mean when he binge watched all of Game of Thrones and then he realized his place?
Yeah. He was like, I know what's happening now.
That's what the 3-eyed raven is.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. The 3-eyed raven
is a binge watcher.
Game of Thrones ends shittily, so it doesn't matter.
Well, that's why I love it, because I assume they're not talking about the show, they're talking about the books.
Yeah. Daemon's about to
don't know what
be
you're talking about.
They're going to retcon a lot of the show.
They're going, what show?
Yeah,
we're talking about the books. We're talking about the books. We don't know what show.
It's like when a movie series does like 9 movies, and then all of a sudden they do a soft reboot and they go, oh, wait, those last 7 movies didn't actually count. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The Days of Future Past, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
X-Men.
Y'all, can I talk about the thing that I thought?
Daemon touched the weirwood tree. Did y'all go, oh, why? There's a lot of people who went, oh, Alice is showing him. No, this is a 3-eyed raven. His name is Blood Raven.
I thought immediately, because all of a sudden we saw this character we had never seen before. I want to say also they showed a 3-eyed raven.
They literally was coming at the camera. It was like at the fucking.
It's Bran. Bran is a 3-eyed raven. Bran is a 3-eyed raven. Bran is a 3-eyed raven. Then it's like
Bran's like, please don't put this up. We have these things.
Like, we know who these 3-eyed ravens are.
Here's the deal. Then let's just get to spoiler for in the Game of Thrones. Obviously, George R.R. Martin told the D&D, this is how the story ends, and then they end up with Bran as the king. But they didn't really touch on this in Game of Thrones. But does Bran like pull strings as a 3-eyed raven across time to make himself? That's what I want to be true.
That's my theory.
Exactly. That's my headcanon.
That's what I want. I want him to manipulate.
So if we're in House of the Dragon seeing Bran make decisions, then that's 100% what that character has been doing.
Are you sure Bran isn't a strong?
Ooh.
Just kidding.
I love
the way that he acts.
He understands
I feel so validated right now. That's so good.
See? He understands that strongs are more manipulative. Exactly.
You guys,
Simon Strong, Alice, they're manipulating the king. They're manipulating him. They're not hanging out. They're not being friends. They're manipulating him.
Mm-hmm. Oh, 100%.
That's the point. Thank you. That's what they're doing. Anyway.
I told you guys I had something spoiled for me. Can I tell you what was not actually spoiled for me? Yeah, I came into the episode going, oh, that the Rhaenys. Am I right?
Rhaenys.
I'm trying to remember the Rhays.
Rhaenys is
queen who never was.
No, sorry. No, step back. Rhaenyra, the girl who was like meant to babysit.
Sheep stealer?
Okay, yeah. I had a tweet that I skipped really quickly because I thought it was alluding to the fact that this character dies. I thought they were saying she finds the dragon and the dragon just burns her up and eats her or whatever.
No, so that's episode 1 of season 3.
So when she was like looking, so she's like dying on this mountain trying to find this dragon, and then she gets there. She gets there. I was like, oh, here it is. I already had it spoiled. She's about to get killed. And then she sees the dragon, and the dragon's like, rawr! And then they were like, black. I was like, whoa, okay, it's not what I was expecting. She's going to come in on that dragon next season, right? Right?
Well,
to me, death is part of the plot story. Some die, some don't. So if you look at her and you go, well, maybe she'll live and she dies, that would be a George R. R. Martin plot.
Could you imagine she comes in the very first shot of the next season? It's like, it's that same shot, but then he just like shoots fire at her and she's gone. He's like, oh, finally. So I was like, even so tired of this goddamn sheep. I wanted to eat a human once in a while.
But sometimes that's the point of the George R. R. Martin writing. Sometimes they'll build someone up and they'll die. That's George plot device.
Okay, well,
in this show, they're not doing that.
Yeah.
Well, that's the point. Exactly. In this show, they're clearly not doing that. They're letting people build up and live.
Yeah.
They're not killing people
Steven,
off.
can I ask? I've been dying to ask this question as well. Speaking about dying characters and dragon riders, okay? Corlys's heir, the main son that was like married to Rhaenyra Targaryen.
Yes. Laenor.
And then they fake his death and he flies off. Now, they gave that dragon to the other guy, and the lore is that a dragon won't bond with someone unless the dragon rider's dead. And so people have been saying he must have died off screen. Steven, right here, right now, tell me right now. Is he dead, yes or no?
Wait, before you answer. No, I'm glad you brought this up, though, because before when we were with that Tylan Lannister,
yes,
and then we meet that one lady.
Yeah,
I genuinely thought they were about to bring on.
He was about to be like the pirate.
I was like, he was the pirate. He was like,
Laenor would have nothing to do with that. He wants to be like, I'm doing my own thing. I'm on a farm.
No, exactly. But
I would have.
It would have been interesting if that had been him, right?
Ed.
Yes,
I would have given you a promotion. I would have given you a raise. If I was working for HBO, I would say, this guy writes for HBO. This guy knows how to write. That would have been genius. You're right, Ed. That would have been a good...
I don't know. Why would Laenor want to start an army?
The reason I'm trying to explain is because what they did with the Lannisters and bullshit, I don't give a shit. I've read the books. I don't care what they're doing. I know what they're doing. I know where they're going. Ed, when I first showed up in season 5 or like House of Dragons at the beginning, and you said, what was the point of this? The crab feeder. And I said, I don't know. Now I know. What they were trying to do was let you know that this is coming. That the narrow sea will be up for battle forever. The crab feeder was step 1. Now you got step 2, and eventually you'll have step 3. So you're right, Ed.
That's hilarious.
You're just reminded me because this is step 2. This woman and her Lannister affair is step 2. There will be a step 3. There will be a worse person showing up.
I'm reminded about something when I first watched
this woman is a crab feeder part 2.
When I first watched Game of Thrones for the first time, Ed loaned me a couple seasons on DVD or whatever, and the first episode we watch, and it starts right like they go out beyond the wall and they meet the White Walkers and this and that. And Ed had
literally the first scene of episode 1.
Ed had the audacity to be like, "Oh, those like that doesn't matter. Like, don't." He's like, "Just keep watching this show. Those things don't actually matter."
I mean, for 4 straight seasons, they didn't matter.
No, but I was just like, it's hilarious that it's like these things.
And in the end, did it really matter? Did it really matter in the end?
I don't know. Maybe we'll see.
No, you're right. They didn't. So I was kind of right, Miguel. And also, it was more of like
I know what Ed was doing. He was trying to convince me to watch that show. He was worried I was going to be. He was worried I was going to be like, zombies. I'm out.
Yeah, I'm
you
out.
hate Last of Us. You hate zombies.
Look at us now, Miguel. 10 years later,
I'm over here bringing up names and shit. Like, watch me. All right, like I'm paying attention. Damn.
Amen.
Speaking of names, let's talk about this name, Criston Cole. He's having a little bit of a personal crisis, a little identity crisis.
That was like one of my favorite scenes of the episode, actually.
Me too, Ed. That's him reading Nietzsche. We get it. You read Nietzsche. You studied Nietzsche. You studied existentialism. You studied nihilism.
Yes.
We get it.
Yes.
Your life
I just like a good old trauma story.
Me too.
Yeah.
He's like, we're fucked. Nothing matters. These dragons.
Nothing matters. I stared at the abyss too long.
Death would be nice right now, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not crazy. Death would be cool. No, I mean, because, from so early on, I mean, everybody hates Criston Cole, and I'm not saying he justified himself in any way, but
No.
it is just... It is like a nice switch. You're not like beating this character to death by being an asshole just nonstop. Like, he does have, feelings.
Yes.
And they've just like, he's just been shook to his core and he's not the same person anymore.
This is why people got mad at me when I was like, oh, I sympathize with Criston Cole. People said, how dare you? This man is a monster. I said, okay, well, I understand he's a monster, but my God, can you understand that he's suffering?
Yeah.
Like, he's suffering. I can understand his suffering. I can understand his pain. Yes, he's a monster, but he's not doing it for no reason. He's just a piece of shit,
He just wants to be loved.
He wants to be loved, and he never will. Right. He wants to be loved.
I think even admits to the fact, like, oh, all the white cloaks, the white cloak people. He's like, oh, how do you white cloaks, deal with your celibacy, or how you guys deal with honor? And he's like, do we deal with honor?
Yeah,
I don't think we do. Like, he's just like coming to this, like, he's finally being true to everything.
And Dunk the Tall will teach him. Yes, it's very easy.
Right.
As a true white cloak, Duncan.
Well,
they
set this up at the beginning of the season, where you see them like being lazy, like they're sitting down on the steps, they're like joking around.
Oh, well, that's that's
Aegon's so
Aegon's
incompetent.
Yeah, that's Aegon's. He appointed
these people. Okay,
yeah, that's Aegon's.
There's
fault.
also a moment when he's wiping his sword with Alicent's little handkerchief, and I don't know if that's a moment where it's like he's just like, I don't care about life anymore. Like, I'm using this as a tool to just clean the blood off of a sword. Whereas everything is pointless.
I don't think it's.
Do any of y'all have sisters?
No.
Do y'all have sisters?
Super.
Does anyone here have sisters? No. Miguel? Okay.
Ed does.
Okay. So, Ed, you might be the only one who can tell us. What would you do if you saw one of us with like the favor of your sister? Would you be mad at us, or would you be mad at her?
Would you be mad at us? You guys.
Okay, exactly. That's what was happening. He said, "No, you don't understand. I'm not against."
It was a lovely detail. It was a lovely background detail where you could see soldiers, like just common soldiers in the background, and they're just like,
"Yes,
when they all paused and they were like, yo, what's happening?"
Like, I forgot. It's like those are our two commanders, and then that moment where the dynamic switches, and all of a sudden, Alicent's brother, I forget his name. I'm sorry. He realizes that he lowered his guard, and then all of a sudden Criston has the upper hand.
Yeah.
I thought that was like a fun play on it, but obviously he's not trying to be a threat, but making a point more so.
No, yeah, he did the same with Alicent. It's like that dragon episode where Aegon got burnt. I feel like that really touched Criston Cole to his like core. It's 1,000%. Like he all of a sudden like saw the world differently, and every move he's made since then has been like, we're all fucked, and I'm just over here going to do my best, and it's not even fucking worth it, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like he doesn't care if he's talking to whoever in any tone. He's like, no, it does not matter. Yeah. It does make me like him a little bit more.
You are nothing compared to just like the magnitude of these dragons. We are dust.
We are
them.
Fucked. Do you understand? You know what I mean?
He's not wrong. He's right.
Yeah.
He's right. We're a joke.
That's the opposite of wrong.
Wait.
Well, again, with mirroring,
No,
this
you're
whole
right.
situ-
Yeah, right. That is the opposite.
This is
But
wrong.
it's like napalm falling from the skies whenever these guys, like even
Well,
bleed.
there's this mirroring
Have
effect
all-
where you have Daemon, who's also like, I don't mean anything either. I'm just a part of this story, and then Criston Cole's like, I also don't mean anything. We're just dust to these dragons. You know, it's like
Bingo.
we are all just. This is a whole philosophy on top of just the story itself. You know.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Well, think about Godzilla -1 or Godzilla -0, whatever. This is
You're
a problem.
thinking Godzilla versus Kong. Sorry, go ahead.
No, never that. No.
No, you're thinking of Godzilla, X-Kong,
No Godzilla, no Kong.
The king of monsters.
I'm talking about the Japanese one where they talked about, but that's the point where, yes, my life may mean nothing, but my country's life can mean a lot.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing is true. What's happening with Cole, where he's saying, yes, I'll be nothing, but the side I'm with might live on. So maybe I die to protect the side I'm with.
Or
That's
the winning
something
side, more specifically.
The winning side.
Right.
Whichever keeps him
imagine, even if you knew that you were fighting for the losing side, would that be less confident? Would that be less honorable? Imagine you were fighting for something concrete. You believed in something, and you were fighting for that side, and that side lost.
I mean, if
Does
you
that make
believe
your
it, that's
fight
all.
less?
That's all that you really need. You know, it doesn't matter if you're winning or losing. It's your honor, your character. Everything is on that. It's who you are as a person and what you value. So if you die, well, then I'm throwing myself into that court. I'm throwing myself into that arena.
So even if I lose, am I really failing? That's something we have to deal with as men. And Criston Cole has to deal with. So
it's
okay,
like,
we lose.
Finally,
but am I really failing?
It's like
What do I
16
believe?
episodes in, and finally, like the male representation is being seen. Like, thank you.
You know what, Miguel? There's not enough male representation in this world. So
that's
thank
what I
God.
thought. You know, it's like finally I can get behind that incel Criston Cole. Okay.
And you know what? I'm glad Aemond is finally standing up for himself, you know?
It's like, damn, it's finally some fucking balls in this show, all right?
I thought we were watching House of the Eunuchs, but here we are.
That's
the other spin-off show.
That's it. But again, this is the same debate when it came to Succession. Succession was about how do we deal with men who are not real men? Fine, they have
your children.
Yeah. You are not serious people.
You're not serious people.
Yeah.
So
Guys,
imagine
they
if
are.
you
They're
were,
all like, what, 16? How old is Aemond? 16?
Yes. So
Aegon
imagine.
has to be 18, 20 something.
Right. Exactly.
Can we talk
Irish
about
twinsies fuckers, right?
Can we talk about the overall show just for a quick second? And the fact that my in-laws watch this show, and I just saw them in Ohio a couple weekends ago, and they were talking about, somehow I was like, oh, are you watching House of Dragons? Oh yeah, I'm really into it. I can't wait for the end of the show. Yada, yada. And my mother-in-law goes, but did you see the scene? And I was like, what scene are you talking about? The dragons. There's so many great scenes. What are you talking about? She was like, where she was giving him head in the middle of that brothel. I was like, whoa.
I'm telling you, these women, they see more than we do. They see more than we do.
Where did that conversation go?
We tried to move on as quickly as possible.
Like she was offended by it?
No, her and my father-in-law were both just like, it was borderline pornographic. I was like, it was literally pornographic. Okay, you're right. It was wildly, almost inappropriate. Okay, even though that they were in a brothel, it's like, I get what they were doing there. I don't need to see it, but I definitely. There have been so many times where I've watched Game of Thrones with my in-laws. I am so glad that I was not in the room with them when that happened, because they were like, oh, we didn't see it the first time, and we went back and watched the episode again, and we were like, what? And I was just like, no, I don't want to revisit this scene with you. Couldn't believe it happened. And my mother, whoever goes,
Daemon going down on his mother in a dream.
Oh man, that did not come up, thankfully. And it was one of those things where it was like, this was one of those like, ooh, this is a hot Game of Thrones sexy ass scene. Stop! I don't want to see this anymore. Stop it! That was a tough one.
I watched that scene with my family, and every single one of them were like, "What's happening?" I said, "This is his mother. He's trying to have sex with his mother." They went, "No, Steven. Yeah, this is his mom.
This is why you can't have show watchers and book readers in the same room, okay? Because
show watchers and book readers.
Because Steven's over here like, oh, obviously that's his mom.
No,
and everyone's like, no, obviously that's not his mom. You pervert? Why are you even saying that? That's so fucking, oh my God, he was right. He was right all along.
Pervert. Trying to sleep with his mom. Evil. Ew.
What else are we like looking forward to in like these next couple seasons? We have season 3, season 4, but is there
obviously the gratuitous sex. What was the segue? Okay, like
well, we gotta keep it coming. What else is coming? I have a question. We gotta keep it coming. What else is coming?
I was trying to get it out of it. I get it.
I have a directional question.
Okay.
Jace. How does this end with Jace? What do you guys think about Jace?
When is he gonna get naked? Jeez.
Let me see his pee
with those pouty lips.
What does Jace do?
I feel like it doesn't end well with Jace, to be honest.
I will say this. First off, I didn't see Jace's importance in the first season. I do remember Steven kind of saying something about him at the end of season 1, and I didn't realize how much Jace was going to be pushed to the forefront this season. I love the actor. I really love what they're doing with the character. This like bastard who's like been given this notoriety, and then he sees all these other dragon riders and the way he reacts to that. I loved the complexity of his character and just the way he views the world right
remaining loyal to the entire time,
because it seems like that's who he is, right?
Yeah,
he is a good person, but he's also finding his strength and is trying to like put his best foot forward.
Strong,
but I feel like he's gonna slip. You know what I mean? I feel like his coming to terms with his bastardization. You know what I mean? And also loyalty.
Is he gonna slip, or is he just gonna be pushed to the limit?
Fair enough. I'm just saying. I think the weight on his shoulders is evident, and I think he's going to make mistakes because he's trying his best. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's trying to do what's right for all of the things that are going on with him.
Yeah,
but they're all going to crush him in the end. Is how is my guess.
Love it.
Well, he has the support of the what's it called? Corlys' daughter. Right.
Both of them kind of. Well, yeah, I guess the older one.
Or she
right?
kind of like
Rhaenyra and Baela.
Yeah.
Baela and Rhaenyra.
Baela was
Rhaenyra's
like,
the one who's
get it together.
Rhaenyra is his wife. Yeah, Baela.
No, stop.
Isn't Baela?
Rhaenys is the niece, right? No, that's the queen who never was.
The queen.
Rhaenys, and then Rhaena is out looking for sheep eater.
She's the one on the dragon, trying to get the dragon. Yeah,
he's just stealing them. He's like, hey. And then Baylor is married to Baela,
which is also a play on Velaryon, right? Like, wasn't that one of the dragons?
The Black Dread, Baela, the Black Dread. I love it.
Look at you, Miguel.
I'm about to make a name for myself.
Wop, 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 wop. Fuck him up. Love it.
I feel like we're on the rails here. Let's wrap this up, okay?
Okay. Here's the question I have. This is very easy. Okay. Team Black. They have how many dragons? How many?
7.
Okay. Team Green. Go ahead. How
2.
many do they have?
3.
Boom. So what's going to happen in season 3?
Oh, the dragons and the blacks are going to die.
We're gonna lose. No, we're gonna lose dragons. Vhagar is not gonna just go away. Vhagar's gonna
Silverwing's gonna go down for sure. I'll tell you that.
The lesser dragons. There's one that's a baby right now. My prediction, Steven, just give me a second here. Okay, I think that baby dragon is gonna grow up and maybe do something, or is gonna be squashed immediately.
The one at the Vale?
The baby, the tiny one.
It's too small. It's too small.
It's too small now. Those dragons, when they came out of those eggs in Game of Thrones, they were too fucking small, and we saw what happened with them. Small lives matter, Ed. Fuck you, okay?
Right, Ed. Fuck you.
So
No, I don't know. I don't know.
Fuck you.
3 and the 6 with this, maybe a surprise 7. Who knows?
This sheep eater dragon, I feel like is going to be the sheep eater one is the one that's going to
I
take
love
down
the design
Vhagar.
of that sheep stealer. The way that it looks, it's got these like
pointy,
curvature,
black and yellow
pointy
look.
curves. Yeah.
Black and yellow, black and yellow.
Black and yellow, black.
So definitely some dragons. They set up enough dragons where they're going to be destroyed for sure.
For sure.
Okay.
I have a question. I have a question about the dragons. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'm just trying to piece together this story in Game of Thrones. There's a piece in Game of Thrones where there's like the dragon, not the pit, but like where they keep the dead dragons, the skulls of the dragons.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
She says,
Yes.
Robert used to love to come down here and look at them, this and that. I cannot remember, just off the top of anyone's head, does anyone remember what dragons were down there, and are they the dragons from this show?
It was.
I don't know.
That's a good question, Stephen.
Okay, thank you. First off,
I genuinely want to know now.
I mean, all the dragons
are in this show. So if imagine you were
Apart from
Joffrey.
the dragon.
Imagine you were Joffrey, and you were 200 years later. And you're going, ha 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 ha. Like, imagine you're a piece of shit. Okay?
Yeah.
You're Joffrey.
Okay.
You're a piece of shit.
I'm locked in. Let's go.
Is there a direct way to answer this?
Ed, just imagine you're a piece of shit. Let him talk.
I feel like I'm being super spoilery right now. So,
Well, that's what I'm worried about too.
well, that's what I'm saying. So imagine you're Joffrey and you're going, these fuckers suck because the Dance of Dragons occurred and these fuckers couldn't even conquer land. They couldn't conquer anything. They just moved back and forth and back and forth. And the queen and the king, their conquering was just, I took Dragonstone. Oh, I took King's Landing. Oh, I took Dragonstone. Okay, this is nothing. Joffrey is making fun of them because they didn't conquer Westeros. The Dance of Dragons bounced back and forth between Dragonstone and Westeros, or Dragonstone and King's Landing, back and forth, make me laugh because you need to conquer. How are you going to deal with the Riverstone?
The rivers, right?
How are you going to deal with Westeros? They couldn't. They only went back and forth. Dragonstone, King's Landing. Dragonstone, King's Landing. So you couldn't conquer Westeros. They didn't conquer the North. They didn't conquer Riverside or Riverstone. They couldn't conquer anything. All they did was go back and forth. Westeros, or I should say, King's Landing and Dragonstone.
Yeah.
So you couldn't conquer the world. All you could do was move back and forth. And we were supposed to think that you were great. How are you great?
I definitely think going into these next 2 seasons, and this is just a theory, so Stephen, neither confirm or deny, I don't want to know, but this is just what I'm throwing out there. If we're just making quick predictions for the next season, I just think that Team Black, even though it has the majority right now, maybe somewhere down the line they're going to break apart. And multiple sides are going to come out of it.
Oh, for sure. These bastards on dragons, they're going to be like, no, fuck this shit. I have a dragon.
Is a liability.
He's
Talk to me about Ulf. Tell me about Ulf. What do you think about Ulf?
I don't care about Ulf. But he
should die. He's going to be a problem. He needs to go away.
He's going to be a problem.
Hammer is also going to be a problem, I think.
You don't think
for a more noble cause.
No, I don't. Huh?
Okay.
It would be for a noble cause, but I think that is going to lead in a way.
Talking about mirrors, right? They are mirrors of each other in a way, right? Like, one is the better, one is the worse, but they are going to make decisions, selfish decisions. Well, no, you're right. What is a mirror if
would be
not
the same?
A reflection is a reverse of yourself, though. Also,
but
when you raise your left hand in a mirror, it's a right hand.
Yeah, you're right. Miguel,
okay.
Let's you and I get off of this and talk about this.
You want to just get on the phone? Okay, let's get off the.
because this is deep, brother.
But imagine if the goal is to imagine yourself as one of the soldiers. Are you black? Are you green? If you were green, what would you do to win? If you were black, what would you do to win? I mean, what is the goal?
I wouldn't have a choice, right?
No, you wouldn't have a choice. It's just, how would you win?
I was here at this time, so I'm fighting for this team. Fuck.
But that's what happened last episode, was when Daemon said, look, I'm team black and I'm no good, so I need to side with her. I need to side with my queen. He understood that my failure is no good enough. I'm trying, I'm failing. What I need to do is side with my queen.
You know what
I need to do is give all of my army to her. So what's happening in season 3? I mean,
I feel like to wrap up the conversation, Steven, you should bless us and the audience with one major spoiler coming into the next season. Who's dying? Episode 1. Steven, tell us now. Go.
I gave Ed took his headphones off. All of y'all took your headphones off. Okay, so I'll do it now. I gave Ed a spoiler, and he took his headphones off.
Tell me now.
Rhaenyra sits the Iron Throne. She sits the Iron Throne. She is the queen. She sits the Iron Throne. She is the queen. She sits on the throne. She sits the Iron Throne.
Whoever was. That's what I'm talking about. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go.
Rhaenyra was the queen, and she sits the fucking throne. Rhaenyra sits on the Iron Throne. She stands there. She goes. Rhaenyra conquers Westeros. Rhaenyra is the queen of Westeros. She sits the Iron Throne.
Okay. We're gonna go ahead.
All right, so that was our discussion of House of the Dragon season 2. Tune in 2 years when we'll talk about House of the Dragon season 3. Steven, thank you so much for joining us on this very huge discussion of House of the Dragon. We're gonna bring you back again next year for Dunky and Eggy's adventures. But I appreciate you, man.
Dunkin' Egg, baby.
Dunkin' Egg.
Dunkin' Donuts.
That sounds like a good breakfast joint, yeah. So is Miguel the Three-Eyed Raven now? Does he know everything?
Yeah, Miguel knows more than you.
I do.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
I'll tell you guys as soon as Steven gets off.
Rhaenyra. We all support Queen Black. Rhaenyra. Easy.
All right, Steven, thank you so much for being here. I'm worried. Unless don't give any more away.
Don't tell me anymore.
Please don't tell me anymore.
All right, now we're entering into the podcast where we talk about the summer movie wager. The summer is almost over, but we have 1 month left ahead of us. Ed, give us those summer movie wager updates.
Oh, you son of a bitch. I was not ready for that. You have it in front of me, you motherfucker.
I do have it in front of me here. I'll go up to 10. So how about that? I'll lead you up. Number 18, we have Maxine. 17, Trap. That just came out, baby. 16, Fly Beneath the Moon. 15, The Bike Riders. 14, Horizon. 13, Strangers. 12, Furiosa. 11, Long Legs. Ed, can you hit me with the top 10 now?
Yeah, I can. At number 10, we got the Garfield movie. Number 9, The Fall Guy. 8, If. 7, A Quiet Place, Day 1. Number 6, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Number 5, Bad Boys, Ride or Die. 4, Twisters. 3, Despicable Me 4. 2, Deadpool and Wolverine, baby. And then number 1, Staying Strong, Inside Out 2, with a nice $200 million lead.
Hey, listen, Twisters re-release in 4DX. That's going to get a bump. I already told Criston we got to go see it.
Matt,
it's kind of a little birthday.
It jumped 2 spots just this last weekend.
Yeah, it did.
Like, it was at 150, so it was behind Kingdom and Bad Boys.
Yeah.
And then it just shot up. And I said I needed it to stop making money right then and there. And it did not do that. Yeah.
Luis is going to win on Inside Out alone. It just is what it is. But
I'm not moving up yet.
But Ed, you did great. Go ahead.
Let's talk about what we're into.
Hey guys.
Ed, Miguel, what have you been up to? What are you into?
Let me drink some whiskey real quick.
Okay.
Oh God, I don't do that anymore. All right. Is it my turn?
Yeah.
You guys, what an episode. Fuck. I'm so like charged up from this. Whew. Okay. Ooh, I'm about to make a name for myself. Okay. So I had the opportunity, about a year ago, one of the fellow dads from my kid's school reached out to me and was like, hey, do you want to go see this Foo Fighters show next August? And I was like, yeah, man, that sounds great. Because he had talked to me about a couple other shows. And I was like, I don't know. But he said Foo Fighters. And I was like, yeah, like I always think back to Coldplay. I saw Coldplay. I got free tickets and I was not looking forward to the show at all. I ended up having a great time. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go see Foo Fighters. I want to check it off the list. Tell everyone, hey, I saw Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
Cut to almost a year later. It's August, a couple days ago. We went to go see the show. We took an Uber downtown Denver. I live in Colorado. It was hot as balls. It was like 100 degrees outside. We walked a block or two to go get some food at this like hot ass, stuffy ass Mexican restaurant, which was delicious. The food was so good, but I was so hot.
Nice.
Oh, I had a great time. I'm honestly dreaming about going back there. It was so good. Because the Denver food scene is not great. Anyone will tell you. But we walked a couple more blocks. I feel like we walked like 2 miles that night. We finally get to the stadium. We had to walk up. You guys, I told you I bought these tickets a year ago. When we bought them, it was basically sold out. We were in the nosebleed section. We had to walk up. This is going to sound like not a lot, but we had to walk up 5 levels to the top of the stadium to get there. And it was like level. Like we walked forever just to get to the top of the stadium. And when we finally got up there, I realized, oh my God, it's an open dome stadium. It's where the Broncos play. I was like, oh fuck, we might be in the sun. You know what I mean? And he's back, ready to go.
Where'd you come from?
I separated. I talked to my brother. He said, how dare you abandon? He said, that's wrong. So I said, okay, you're right. I apologize. I shouldn't have done that. Yeah, my brother was like, my brother who is a better fan of this podcast than I am.
Oh, he listens to the podcast?
Oh, more than I do. He listens to every single one. And he said, that's fucked up. You do not abandon them ever.
At the end of the episode.
And I said, you know what? I apologize. You're right. I shouldn't have abandoned. I apologize.
And here he is.
Here he is.
Yep. And what we are into right now. You know what I mean?
He said, do not leave them alone. That's not fair. And I said, okay, you're right. I apologize. I shouldn't have abandoned them. So I'm here.
All right, Miguel was just telling us about his Foo Fighters experience.
Steven, I saw the Foo Fighters. Have you ever seen the Foo Fighters?
You talk about yeah, I've seen the Foo Fighters. Trying to get
you have
Foo Fighters?
Of course I've seen the Foo Fighters. You're talking about
the Foo Fighters.
The Foo Fighters.
Yeah,
I've seen the Foo Fighters too.
I finally got up to the top of the stadium. I was in the shade, you guys. I was not in this direct sun for like 2 hours. First off, we got there at like 5 o'clock. We saw the second opening act, and the Foo Fighters didn't go on until like 7:45, and then they did a 3-hour show. Okay, y'all. I was fucking exhausted by the end of that bitch, okay? It was loud. It was hot. We had a nice breeze as the sun went down. Do you guys know, could you name more than 2 Foo Fighter songs?
Oh, yeah. I listened to... okay.
Now, Luis, go.
Simply the Best, the Time of Your Life one,
You're naming songs of other artists.
I can't name it right now, but I know them. Okay, I know like 5 or 6. I know 5 Foo Fighters songs. In over 2 hours, they spread them hoes out. It was like every 45 minutes, he was like, you know what? I don't know what's going on. He was like, every 5 hours, every 2 hours, Dave Grohl was like, I want to sing a song with you right now. And it would be like the song that everyone knows. And then in between there, he did like 30 songs that I was like, I don't know this fucking song. And all the Foo Fighter songs.
Dave Grohl said that? Dave Grohl said he doesn't know the song?
He said that. And I was like, that's weird because you sing them, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
He also called me personally motherfucker way too many times. I was like, oh, okay, Dave. Okay, we're in that shit now. No, it was a pretty good one.
Did you dig it? Did you like it? Did you like?
I will say this: the moments that landed for me, I had a really great time. I just realized I'm not a big Foo Fighter fan, so I don't know enough of the music to be like, I loved every fucking moment. But it was a fun show. I would have cut maybe 45 minutes out of it. When they left the stage. First off, the end of the show, he was like, because their drummer died a year or so ago, Taylor. I'm blanking on his name. I'm so sorry. At the end of the show, the second to last song was a song that he was like, Taylor loved this song, so we play it every show. And it was like, that was the moment. That was very sweet. And then he finished with Best of You. I got another confession, my friend. That song. And it was so good. I was not expecting that song. And then they riffed for like 10 minutes after the song was over. And then they walked off the stage, and you were like, what a great end to the show.
Oh, no, you got to yeah.
And then about a minute after they walked off, I go, oh, God, they didn't say goodbye. Mm-hmm. Oh, fuck. There's an encore coming. And then they came and they did another 30 minutes of an encore with songs I didn't know. And then they ended on one of the 5 songs that I know. You know what I mean? So it was like, okay, at least there's a moment where I'm having a good time right at the very end. And
there goes my hero.
That wasn't even the last song. That was like the 3rd song that I knew that they played like an hour and 75 minutes in. So
that's 2 hours.
The math, you know what I mean? It moves past the clock. So not only was it like a 4-hour long show, but then it took us another hour to get an Uber home. You know what I mean? And so like overall the experience was a little, but the show itself for the moment that I was in it was good. It was fun. Dave Grohl is a lot of fun. Nice. The band is really good. One of the best moments of the show, and this is kind of wild, it was just like midway through the show, he did the whole like, and this is the guitarist, this is the bassist, this is the drummer type deal.
Oh, yeah.
But they each had their own moment, and they all like played rock songs that are like super famous that are not the Foo Fighter songs, and it all built. It was like boom, 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 boom. So it was like
a question for y'all.
15 minutes of good music. Yeah, go ahead, Steve. Let's hear it.
Okay, thank you. Do you think Dave Grohl worries about the death of rock
and roll?
No,
the lead of Nirvana.
Do it, Luis. What's his name, Luis?
Oh my God, are you putting me on the spot?
Yeah, put you on the spot. What's his name? Do you think he worries about that a lot? Like, there goes my hero.
Say his name right. Say his name right now, Luis, or we're not moving.
Yes, Luis, do it.
I don't know why I can't remember anything. My memory's going away.
What's his name, Luis? What's his name?
I am part of Nirvana, and my name is Kurt Cobain.
Yes, Cobain.
Yes. I was on the edge of my seat.
What do you think Kurt Cobain would think about the modern career of, what's the drummer's name? I can't remember his name, but
the guy who died.
No, the one who's still alive.
Dave Grohl.
Dave Grohl. What do you think Kurt Cobain? What do you think Kurt Cobain thinks about Dave Grohl?
You know what's crazy is Dave Grohl was talking about like a person from his life that he doesn't. He was like, I used to smoke weed with this person, and then we wrote this song together, and this person's not in my life anymore. And I was like, oh, he's kind of like talking about Kurt Cobain. But every death reference he mentioned, it was all about the drummer from Foo Fighters. Like he kept it very pointed. And I honestly feel like it's because Dave Grohl was saying it's been 30 years of the Foo Fighters. Like, it's like he is no longer just Nirvana. You know,
he spent more time with the Foo Fighters than he did with Nirvana.
Than he was in Nirvana. And you guys want to know the big fact that he said? And I thought he was bullshitting. I thought he was just like jerking us off in Denver. But we looked it up after the fact. The Denver show that they played last week was the biggest North American show they've ever played.
Wow,
Foo Fighters.
Yeah,
wow.
It was because it was at the football stadium where the Broncos played. Yeah.
85,000 people.
Wow. No
wonder
it took you so long. Actually, an hour waiting for an Uber is a
we
miracle.
talked about that, how it was actually pretty quick compared to the fact. 85,000 people at the show.
Did you walk away from the stadium?
Like a mile and a half, yes. And we met our Uber at some corner where I'm pretty sure a hobo has died. But It was a good time.
Does anyone is there a person alive who thinks that Dave Grohl is better than Kurt Cobain? I've heard a lot of people who say that Kurt Cobain is not good enough and Dave Grohl is better. Well, right, but they've said that Dave Grohl is better than Kurt Cobain. That to me makes no sense. Kurt Cobain was a type of perfect American.
I tell you what, artist. one is cheerier than the other for sure.
Is Kurt Cobain the less cheerier? Because that makes perfect sense.
I mean,
one has a little more.
I feel like at times Foo Fighters is very like poppy and like and happy, but it can be a little repetitive at times. You know, where
when I was in high school and I was like, oh, I love Kurt Cobain, and then here comes Dave Grohl, and here comes the best. I was like, Luis, what do you think about this new band? And Luis said, oh, is Kurt Cobain the lead singer? And I went, no. And he said that, fuck off. And as a kid, I was like, what? But he was right. Now I'm older. I'm like, yeah. When we were 18 years old,
it's because you guys were in a Catholic school and he said an F word. And you were like, you can't be cursing like that.
That's right, baby.
But it happened. I went, I don't understand. Why is the... And Luis said, fuck off. And I said, okay, maybe Kurt Cobain is the real deal. Yeah, he did. He pushed me into the real deal.
What a fucking episode, you guys. Yeah, this is a great one.
We did everything. We got the House of the Dragon. We talked about the Foo Fighters. We talked about Last of Us. I don't know what we're going to talk about next week, but we're going to figure that out. But until next time, my name is Luis Gonzalez, and with me has been
Miguel Sanchez,
Ed Bull,
and
Steven Escobar.
Woo! And until next time, later, Gators. And if you feel it,
chase it!
Thank you.